Chapter 413. Each of the following spiritual altars was an immeasurable treasure. Su Fong and Lan Haicheng didn't care what kind of treasure it was. They would collect it first. They were like bandits, leaving nothing behind. Life, seizing, recreating pill. Medicinal pills on top of the spiritual altars. There were a large number of boxes with countless medicinal pills. Most of them were pure origin pills, but there were hundreds of other types of medicinal pills. Among them, there was one box that Lan Haicheng longed for. There were nearly 100,000 life-seizing recreating pills in the box. The life-seizing recreating pill was a treasure that every catastrophe realm powerhouse yearned for. Moreover, this type of medicinal pill was divided into 10 different grades, corresponding to a catastrophe realm cultivator's realm. It could assist in cultivation, deal with heavenly tribulation, and so on. There is no doubt that this type of medicinal pill was precious. Its price was 10,000 times that of a pure origin pill, and there weren't many of them. Even in the celestial sealing sect, a catastrophe realm disciple like Lan Haicheng could only obtain a life-seizing recreating pill by making contributions. Most of them could only obtain it through other channels. Seeing Lan Haicheng so excited, it wasn't hard for Su Fong to imagine how fierce the competition in the celestial sealing sect was. Even Lan Haicheng, who followed Huang Lingyao, didn't have a large amount of precious resources. Holding a second revolution life-seizing recreating pill, Lan Haicheng's eyes were filled with tears. The everlasting flower, and now the life-seizing recreating pill. I'm confident that within 500 years, I can reach the peak of the catastrophe realm and cultivate the stone Rui into a life treasure. For Su Fong, this trip to the mysterious space was a fortuitous adventure. In fact, it was the same for Lan Haicheng. She was originally at the first level of the catastrophe realm. Although she had high-grade and royal-grade magic tools, those magic tools weren't real treasures. There were too few treasures that could help her. This time, she actually obtained resources that could allow her to reach the peak of the catastrophe realm. It was reasonable for her to be so excited. She could rely on herself to become a peerless powerhouse. Su Fong comforted her, but he didn't know what to say. He understood that Lan Haicheng followed him to the Seven Stars Demon Island not simply to assist in her cultivation. It was just a pretense. Even though he understood, he didn't poke through this layer of paper. Thus, each of them received 50,000 life-seizing recreating pills. Damnable Prince Shui. Back then, he forcefully took the life-seizing recreating pill from me. That's a medicinal pill with its own consciousness. Even within 100,000 medicinal pills, you won't be able to find a single one. After putting away the life-seizing recreating elixir, Su Fong's eyes flashed with killing intent. He thought of the life-seizing recreating elixir that he had obtained on the flying celestial island. She's mine. She'll come back sooner or later. With a chill in his heart, he arrived at another spiritual altar with Lan Haicheng. All of them were pills. There were pure elemental pills that had reached the catastrophe realm, as well as marrow-cleansing pills. Li Ziqing once gave Su Fong a lot of marrow-cleansing pills, but compared to the hundreds of thousands of high-grade marrow-cleansing pills on the spiritual platform, it was simply a drop in the bucket. The two of them began to divide the loot again. Gold and silver. Who would have thought that there would be an immeasurable amount of gold and silver, as well as gold and silver or veins in these spirit altars? Xianhuang Six Paths Pagoda secretly said, "Master, gold and silver are the basic materials for many artifacts, dojos, formations, and even elixirs. I'll take them all." After asking Lan Haicheng, he didn't have any interest in gold and silver. Su Fongdao wantonly absorbed the gold and silver into Xianhuang. "Master, with so much gold and silver, I won't need any more after refining them. Adding on Xianhuang stone and origin jade stones, I can recover 90% of my strength. Just focus on recovering and cultivating. With the Rakshasa Jade Bearer bottle, you'll have a lot of free time." With a knowing smile, Su Fong and Lan Haicheng arrived at the last spiritual altar. This place was filled with artifacts. There were probably more than 100,000 artifacts, ranging from mid-grade to king grade. There weren't any peerless Dao artifacts. Although there weren't any Dao artifacts, almost every artifact was at the peak of quality. Even a king-grade artifact had its own uniqueness. Su Fang's heart was filled with greed. Ha, great, great. If I can suppress 100,000 commanders in the future, won't I need 100,000 artifacts? The artifacts in front of her were already shocking. The number naturally couldn't compare to the first-rate factions in the minor worlds, but the quality of the artifacts was something that those factions couldn't compare to. All the artifacts here were treasures that Seven-Star Child had collected. Lan Haiqing looked over. Junior apprentice brother, I'll take 30% of the artifacts. The rest is yours. Senior apprentice sister, pick the good ones. Artifacts were indeed very important to Su Fang right now. Since that was the case, Su Fang let Lan Haiqing take the artifacts first. Whenever she saw something special, she would pick it out. Especially those that were suitable for women to cultivate, she would put them into her magical treasures one by one. She chose quite a few armor treasures, some defensive treasures that she could wear on her body, and some offensive treasures. These were all treasures that women used the most. As long as it was a spiritual altar she had picked, Su Fang would directly absorb the remaining artifacts into the Xianhuang Six Paths Pagoda. Most of them would be used by the commanders in the future. 100,000 commanders and 100,000 artifacts. What a terrifying scene. King-grade artifacts. There was a huge spiritual altar in the center, and over 1,000 king-grade artifacts floated above it. Lan Haiqing and Su Fang were both attracted. How shocking. Each of the king-grade artifacts wasn't simple at all. There were several king-grade Dao artifacts that contained cold qi. Any one of them was stronger than the bracelet that had been destroyed before. She also chose a few flying swords. Each one of them was of high quality. There were also some peak Dao artifacts that were on par with the Rakshasa Jade Vase. In the end, Lan Haiqing took more than 300 artifacts. Even she couldn't remember what they looked like. Su Fang also absorbed the artifacts into the Xianhuang space. She didn't have time to check them. Buzz. Midway, a flying sword suddenly moved. Su Fang suddenly sensed that it was extraordinary. She grabbed the flying sword in her hand. It was a king-grade flying sword made of black rock. Its aura and texture were exactly the same as the stone golem. The stone face obediently appeared, extremely reluctant to part with it. This treasure is one of 3 earth-type magical treasures that Master refined using my essence. The first one was already shattered by you, the second was the stone scepter, and the third was this edgeless sword. The best quality is naturally the stone scepter. That is a magical treasure that Master refined over 10,000 years. Edgeless sword. She touched it with her hand. There was indeed no blade. It looked like a sword, but it was a heavy sword without a blade. It weighed more than 10,000 kilograms. When she held it in her hand, she had the strength of 10,000 kilograms. Coupled with her perfect physical body, she could perfectly release her physical strength. This was a handy offensive artifact. Its quality wasn't as good as the Rakshasa Jade Vase, but its hardness was comparable. The edgeless sword also didn't have an origin spirit. In fact, its origin spirit was the stone golem. The reason for the stone rui was the same. The edgeless sword is a natural earth-type spirit treasure. It's just right for me. She waited. It was a handy divine weapon that could compete with any king-grade artifact. As long as she released the stone essence qi in her body, Su Fang could easily merge with the edgeless sword. Su Fang continued to absorb the remaining king-grade Taoist artifacts into the mysterious yellow. The whole treasure house was emptied by Su Fang and Lan Haiqing. However, Su Fang didn't stop there. She called the stone face over. This is 7 Stars treasure house, and this mysterious Taoist field should be where 7 Star cultivates, right? The stone face decisively denied. No. Su Fang smiled shrewdly and raised her eyebrows. No. Do you think I'm a 3-year-old child? You don't have hair, but it doesn't mean I don't have hair. You're dishonest. Now that I have all kinds of artifacts, I could take out the edgeless sword and smash you into paste. Do you believe it? It's indeed dishonest. I think we should kill it and find it again. At this time, Lan Haicheng seized the opportunity to beat her. Everything is yours. What about me? The stone face was infuriated. What? If you had been honest from the start, you wouldn't have let me kill your true body. You brought this upon yourself. Also, didn't I leave that altar to you? This is 7 Stars' life-bound Taoist field, so there must be some treasures. I don't want those. I'm not someone who doesn't know how to be content. Who told 7 Star to almost kill me? If he doesn't bleed, I won't feel good. You're crazy. In the future, even if you go to the outside world, 7 Star will still hunt you down. The stone face helplessly turned around and formed a seal with several spiritual altars in front of him. Those spiritual altars suddenly moved, forming the shape of the Big Dipper. In an instant, a door suddenly appeared on the palace wall at the end. It really was a different world. Moreover, Su Fong and Lan Haicheng couldn't have found such a profound mystery. You're very honest. Right, I suddenly thought of something. I only remembered it when I saw the lotus aura around the door. As they gradually flew towards the door, Su Fong asked, "Do you know the Green Lotus Sword sect?" The stone face nodded. "I do. It's a powerful sect in the Wu-Tan realm. Of course I know about it, but I've never been there. I've only heard Master mention it many times." Su Fong and Lan Haicheng were both startled. The Green Lotus Sword sect's strength was unquestionable. Su Fong asked again, "So 7 Stars related to the Green Lotus Sword sect?" I felt that the aura of the Green Lotus Sword sect was similar to the Black Lotus Sword sects. That's why I was so puzzled. The stone face replied, "The Green Lotus Sword sect's relationship with 7 Star is not ordinary. The founder of the Green Lotus Sword sect was an old friend of 7 Star's master. Later, 7 Star took care of the Green Lotus Sword sect several times. To 7 Star, the Green Lotus Sword sect is equivalent to his power." Oh, Su Fong felt uncomfortable. He didn't expect the relationship to be so complicated. Now that he had offended 7 Star, if 7 Star came back in the future, wouldn't he have the Green Lotus Sword sect deal with him? The Green Lotus Sword sect's strength was something even the Immortal Sealing sect couldn't compare to. Putting this problem aside for the time being, he followed the trial into the Door of Wonder and found himself in a large hall with an ancient aura. The moment he arrived at the main hall, Su Fong's eyes were filled with shock. This was because there were several pill cauldrons in the hall, all of which were of the king grade. In truth, there had been quite a few mid-grade to high-grade pill cauldrons in the treasury, but none of them had been king grade. King grade pill cauldrons could be used to refine the life, seizing recreating pill, but high-grade pill cauldrons couldn't be used. That was why he had been so eager to join forces with the evil Divine Mother to obtain the 5 Poison King cauldron. There were 7 cauldrons in total, and each one contained a portion of the same aura as the Stone Golem and the Black Lotus Sword sects. Su Fong excitedly looked at the stone face. These 7 cauldrons were personally refined by 7 Star. The stone face said, "They can't escape your eyes." 7 Star's master spent a great deal of effort to refine them. Previously, he used them to cultivate his Black Lotus True Body. Later, he placed them here to create a treasure that 7 Star couldn't do without. There's also a treasure. Lan Haicheng also came over. Golden Core Origin. The stone face was very cooperative. He stared at the center of the cauldrons. There's a golden core at the top. 7 Star spent a great deal of effort to refine it with his Black Lotus True Body. He planned to wait for his young nascent soul to fuse with his Black Lotus True Body before fusing with his Golden Core Origin. Only then would his second true body be perfect. After his introduction, Su Fong and Lan Haicheng leaped into the air. They really did see a dazzling golden core floating above the cauldrons in the middle of the 7 Xianguang seals. Chapter 414. The golden core seemed to be made of the essence of metal and stone. It was too dazzling, and it covered all its sharpness. Junior apprentice brother, it seems the 7 Star Fiend Island is your blessed land. Since you don't have a golden core, this golden core was prepared for you. It's heaven's will. Lan Haicheng couldn't help sighing. He was also happy for Su Fong. So the intelligent Lan Haicheng had been secretly paying attention to the fact that Su Fong didn't have a golden core. She had thought of this in just an instant. It was clear she was moved. Su Fong nodded, but she didn't immediately take the golden core origin. She landed on the ground with Lan Haicheng and looked at the 7 cauldrons. These cauldrons are very useful to me. Senior apprentice sister, I'll take them. Lan Haicheng shyly smiled. I'm not an alchemist, so they're useless to me. There's a throne up ahead. Since it was the 7-star Fiendao ground, there should be more treasures. Lan Haicheng and the others arrived in front of a dazzling golden throne. They were immediately attracted by it. The throne emitted a shocking amount of spiritual qi and magic power. A treasure that could possess magic power was not simple at all. Senior apprentice sister, this is a supreme treasure used by a peerless expert to cultivate. It'll be very helpful to you. With it, your cultivation speed will increase once more. If you continue like this, you might even be able to catch up to Huang Lingyao. Senior apprentice sister, you have a peerless physique. Your abilities are too terrifying. That's not impossible. Senior apprentice sister, just merge with the throne. I'll go take the 7 cauldrons. The throne was a peerless treasure, and it could be considered the 7-star fiend's personal item. Since she wanted the 7 cauldrons, Su Fong gave the throne to Lan Haicheng. Lan Haicheng was also quite excited. It was truly a peerless treasure. He used his essence, blood, and magic power to absorb the throne. Bang, who would have thought that the sovereign throne would release an invisible defensive qi, which directly shook Lan Haicheng back a few steps. Furthermore, it left a horrifying wound on his lower abdomen, which almost cut through his lower abdomen. Whoosh! Su Fong suddenly appeared and caught Lan Haicheng, who was on the verge of fainting. Junior apprentice brother. Letting go of his hands, Lan Haicheng's face was pale. His body was drenched in cold sweat, and he was on the verge of death. It seemed that it wasn't just a wound on his stomach. Lan Haicheng wanted to grab Su Fong's hands, but he was powerless. Am I too greedy? Senior apprentice sister, there's no need to circulate your qi or speak. Let me take a look at your body first. Su Fong's voice was hoarse, but she did her best to smile. I know my own body better than anyone else, Yang Qi said. This power is almost the same as 7 stars masters. I'm only a 2nd revolution life-sizer, so there's no way I can stand up to it. My meridians are shattered, and my Dantian region and gold core are cracked. My Yang soul is seriously injured, and my God aperture is almost gone. It's not a problem. It's not a problem. Lan Haicheng forced out a faint smile. Many thanks for your kind intentions, but I have to apologize. Actually, elder sister wanted me to help you with your cultivation because she wanted me to get closer to you, step by step. She wanted me to get closer to you so that she could control you. She wanted you to help her become a paragon in the house of immortal sealing. You even told me all this, but it doesn't mean much to me. Don't tell me you knew all along what my intentions were. Well, Huang Lingyao is a disciple of Venerate Dao. There's no such thing as a free lunch in this world. And there's no such thing as luck taking care of you all the time. Ever since I started cultivating, I've relied on myself, and I've never relied on anyone else. I've never thought that I would have to rely on Huang Lingyao to survive in the future, to become a peerless expert. How could I not know what she's thinking? Furthermore, I was the one who first met her in the Jingluo water region before she told you my identity. Why you're so scary? Lan Haicheng's face was even paler than before, and his pupils constricted. Su Fong didn't understand. Why would I be scary? I can't see through you. From the moment you entered this dimension, I couldn't see through you. Even after fusing with your nascent divinity and seeing you naked in front of me, I still couldn't see through you. Even now, I can sense that there's more to you than meets the eye. Don't tell me you're not scary. I don't agree with that. Shaking her head, Su Fong used her life force to envelop the wound on Lan Haicheng's lower abdomen. Everyone has their own way of living. If you don't hide yourself, then even if you have 10,000 lives, it still won't be enough. If I didn't tread on thin ice step by step, would I be able to live until now? Not to mention Xinjia Gate. Even inside the celestial sealing sect, I've been killed 10,000 times, just like Senior Sister. Senior Sister is willing to give up her life for Huang Lingyao. And Huang Lingyao really told you her secret. Let's not talk about this. Lan Haicheng shook his head again. You don't have to waste your true qi, and don't waste any more time. My body has been torn apart by a huge force, and my meridians have been destroyed. I can't leave. On the other hand, it's better for you to leave as soon as possible. Senior sister, what kind of person do you think I, Su Fong, am? At this moment, Su Fong's gaze was resolute. I won't give up on you, but with your cultivation, you can't help me. At most, you can help me struggle at death's door for a while. I don't want to suffer in pain. Even if Senior Sister Huang is here, she can't help me. Only an elder in the sect, a powerhouse like Elder Yuan, can help me rebuild my golden core, stabilize my golden core, dantian, and divine aperture. Although I'm not a powerhouse, I can do things that powerhouses can't. After saying that, Su Fong immediately had the stone face lead the way. In a few breaths, they returned to the spell Altar. Close. After ordering the stone face to activate the spell Altar, Su Fong released a barrier that surrounded Blue Sea City under the immense force. Lan Haicheng was like a deep water spirit, slightly rising and falling. His expression was powerless. If Su Fong hadn't poured her yang energy into him, he would have died first. Pure yang energy. At this moment, Su Fong didn't hold back at all. She condensed the pure yang energy in her body and immediately poured it into Lan Haicheng's body. The yang energy that he had given her to cultivate before was just ordinary and slightly strong yang energy. He also wouldn't casually let an outsider control his true power. Lan Haicheng's listless eyes suddenly brightened. Why is this yang energy able to make my life force grow in just a moment? This is a special kind of yang energy. When it fuses with the yin energy in Senior Apprentice Sister's body, it can form the power of yin and yang, giving Senior Apprentice Sister vitality. Only with vitality can your injuries recover. Then, he also used the dragon taming wood to absorb the special life force in her body and poured it into Lan Haicheng's body. This was equivalent to a double guarantee. As long as she had a breath of life, she would be able to recover with the help of yang energy and vitality. Su Fong's greatest advantage was her vitality. Lan Haicheng's pale face was quickly replaced with blood, which made her feel shocked. She heaved a sigh of relief. Su Fong understood her own methods, but she still didn't dare to be careless. Senior Apprentice Sister, I can help you recover your physical body, but only to a certain extent. Your meridians, dantian, golden core, divine aperture, and other problems will have to wait until after we go out and rely on Senior Apprentice Sister's own cultivation to slowly recover. These will take time to cultivate. Lan Haicheng sat up and put her palms together. I really can't see through you. You don't need to see through me. You just need to know what kind of person I, Su Fong, am. Sometimes it's not a good thing to see through too much. She immediately called the stone face over. Su Fong exploded with thunder fury. What's going on? The stone face was frightened. It's that throne. It's something that 7-Star Child fused with. That kind of treasure is a cultivation treasure that 7-Star Child's master left behind. When it has an owner, it's equivalent to forcibly fusing with it. It will definitely be attacked by the throne. Su Fong was unable to restrain her anger. You're not being honest. I didn't think of it immediately. The stone face felt wronged. Lan Haicheng waved his hand. Forget it. It's all my fault for being too reckless. In the past, I would always be careful. This time, it's because I was careless. I can't blame anyone else. We have to go out as soon as possible. He reminded Lan Haicheng to stay here and absorb the huge power of the spell Altar and rest well. He and the stone face returned to the treasury. Inside the secret hall, Su Fong asked, then these 7 treasure cauldrons were also fused with 7-Star Child. Yes, the stone face was very honest this time. This was a difficult problem, but Su Fong still had a way. He grabbed with his left hand, and an ancient mirror appeared in the palm of his hand. Buzz! A red light immediately enveloped the 7 treasure cauldrons. This red light was incredible. Soon, some sparks appeared. The 7 treasured cauldrons exploded with crackling sparks. True runes and spiritual inscriptions began to appear. The stone monster was shocked. You want to incinerate the cauldrons? Su Fong didn't have time to care about the stone face. He said in a sacred voice, 7 treasured cauldrons. Listen up. If you don't submit to me, I can only incinerate you. Whoosh. After a few breaths, 7 primordial spirits flew out of the 7 treasured cauldrons in a sorry state. They begged for mercy and fear. We're willing. Come in first. He grabbed with his right hand, and a pagoda door appeared. The 7 treasured cauldrons and the origin golden core were sucked into the Xianhuang 6 Paths Pagoda. His gaze suddenly landed on the throne with the force of lightning. Bang! The throne suddenly attacked Su Fong. Unfortunately, when he was only half a foot away, he was stopped in midair by the red glow from Su Fong's left palm. In just a moment, sparks exploded and wrapped around the throne. The throne, a Peking grade true treasure, could not struggle in the red light. The 7-star child is already an unimaginable existence, and this throne was created by his master. It has been passed down for at least 100,000 years. Its primordial spirit is also abnormally strong. With a primordial chaos saint, any Dharma treasure would have to bow its head. Su Fong shouted at the throne again. Those who submit, live. You're a primordial spirit. You can't be burned by my Dharma treasure. The throne was not like the 7 treasured scriptures. It was not until the sparks became more and more powerful and a large number of true runes and spiritual inscriptions spread out that the throne finally submitted. Whoosh! There was another peerless Dharma treasure in the Xianhuang 6 Paths Pagoda space. If the throne was not obedient, it would struggle and attack, even if it was forcefully sucked into the Xianhuang space. However, the divine power of a primordial chaos saint forced them to submit. Otherwise, they would be melted into liquid. The stone face witnessed the whole process and was already trembling in fear. What kind of Tao artifact is this? It's a Tao artifact that will kill your master's true body in the future. Su Fong responded coldly and searched the hall again. He found some jade bottles and unusual ornaments. After wantonly collecting them, he let the stone face take them out of the treasure vault. When he came in front of Lan Haicheng, he realized that she was a completely different person. Her physical body was much better, but her meridians were still in a completely broken state. It was impossible for her to recover in a day or a year. If she fully recovered, it would take at least 10 years. With Su Fong's yang power and the resources in the mysterious space, Lan Haicheng believed that she would be able to recover in 10 years. Lan Haicheng stood up with difficulty, and Su Fong supported her. Looking around, Lan Haicheng raised her eyebrows. How do we leave? It's difficult for me to rely on you alone. The silver robe suddenly moved without wind. After protecting Lan Haicheng, it called the stone face over. You also want us to leave quickly, right? Then cooperate with us. If we can't leave, and the 7-star child returns and sees that we're alive and well, he will know that you're not doing well in protecting the training ground. He will smash you into powder. Chapter 4:15. The stone face was still worried about Su Fong. I really want to help you, but I can't even leave. How can I help you leave? Unless you're a catastrophe realm expert, but you're not. The Space Guardian was powerless to do anything. Let me think about it. The stone face was telling the truth. It had lived for more than 100,000 years, so it naturally didn't want to be controlled by 7-star child. It also wanted to cultivate and enter the great world in the future. If it could leave, it might have already taken the treasure trove and left this mysterious space. How could it leave? After a long silence, even Lan Haicheng was waiting. The stone face is right about one thing. With my cultivation, I can't leave this place at all. Senior sister is also seriously injured and can't help. Fortunately, the stone face is willing to help. The young infant sensed its surroundings. Su Fong's main body seemed to be floating in a deep water world. Its thoughts spread out in its mind. I can only borrow external forces. The 2 king-grade magic artifacts can be used. The junior commander's power can also be used. But if someone outside this space can respond and cooperate from the outside, Wouldn't it be possible? Its eyes lit up, and it immediately told Lan Haicheng its idea. The latter nodded. He looked at the stone face. This time, you have to cooperate with me. In this space, your strength and ability have reached the catastrophe realm. In addition, you understand this place. I'm prepared to use a great divine ability. With your help, I'll ask the experts outside this space to help us escape. Whatever you want me to do, I'll do it. The stone face lost its temper. You have to tell me how to send my primordial spirit or aura out of this space so that the outside world can sense it. Master's restriction can suppress any catastrophe realm cultivator. Layer by layer, it fuses with the origin, so I can't leave or control the Tao field restriction. It's not realistic to release my aura. However, if I use the Tao field storm and combine it with my divine ability, I might be able to let my aura leave the restriction with the storm. Tao field storm. It's the storm that brought you here. We call it a whirlwind storm. That's true. The vortex storm is a special formation left behind by Master. It's fused with the Tao field's restrictions, and it will often explode. Then, it will appear outside Seven Stars Island and devour humans, demons, and so on, so that Master can cultivate his second true body. The storm's power is boundless, and it will restrict physical bodies from coming out. Only by using the void divine abilities through the storm can one try to release them, but that might not succeed. If I was confident, I would have left with the storm long ago. At least there's a direction. Su Fang was very happy. Seeing his confidence, Lan Haicheng, who was seriously injured and weak, felt a little more imposing. The stone face had an ancient aura. I can't completely control the storm, but if the storm leaves the restriction or enters the space, I can control a portion of it. It depends on what kind of divine ability you have. You can pass through any restriction that can erase any substance, runes, or magic treasures. If you can pass through the restriction, then your aura can leave the space. You don't have to worry about that. Just make your preparations and help us leave this place. It was a big problem, but in Su Fang's eyes, it was not worth mentioning. She walked over to Lan Haicheng's side and said, "It won't be easy to leave this place. Furthermore, we'll definitely be attacked when we pass through the restrictions. Senior sister, it's best if you enter my spatial treasure." Lan Haicheng's eyes were filled with gentleness. "I don't want to burden you either." In the blink of an eye, Lan Haicheng was already inside the mysterious yellow space. Fortunately, I broke through to the 8th undying heavenly layer and gained several hundred years of lifespan. My strength is also greater than before. With the 8th undying heavenly layer, using the life-shrinking art is possible. Her eyes focused, and she arrived above the spell altar. At this time, the spell altar's energy was being controlled by the stone face. There was also the spatial origin. Adding on the terrifying power of the spell altar, Su Fang did not lack energy. It was the same as having an expert helping her. The stone face suddenly shouted, "I can already sense a storm leaving the restriction. If you really want to leave, you have to fuse with my control power and let your divine ability enter the storm along with my control power." I didn't expect to consume so much of my lifespan after recovering just a bit. Fortunately, I'm not fighting with an expert this time. I just have to transmit my divine aura so that Exalted Yuezhan can sense it. Chi-Chi the young, nascent soul flew out from the depths of the divine aperture's mind. As it formed seals, many Tao runes from the life, shrinking art appeared around it. Fate is the creation of fortune. If I want it, the heavens must have it. Su Fang gently called out. The young nascent soul above the divine aperture instantly used the heavenly devil disintegration seal. It separated a strand of divine aura and fused it with the Tao runes. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Tao runes continuously flew out of the depths of the divine aperture's mind and left. What an ethereal divine ability aura. The faintly discernible Tao runes arrived in front of the stone face. The stone face was stunned for a while before it guided the altar and origin energy to wrap around the Tao runes. Hiss, 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 there was clearly a layer of restriction in the space in front of them, and a whirlpool appeared in the middle of the restriction. Whirlpool storm. The stone face could really control everything inside the Tao field, but outside the Tao field, it was blocked by 7 Star Child restriction. Go! The stone face spat out a black xianguang that was similar to the spatial origin energy. It pushed and fused with the Tao runes from Xingsha into the whirlpool within the restriction. After watching the whirlpool for a while, it immediately left the restriction and disappeared. Bang, bang, bang. The strange thing was that the space didn't seem to have any movement, but the stone face was constantly shaking. Clearly, there were many restrictions outside the restriction. The whirlpool was currently passing through the restrictions and was being suppressed by them. It was impossible to be sure that the Tao rune's aura could leave. Su Fang's aura weakened again. He had only used the life-shortening technique slightly. He should be using up his lifespan, but his lifespan wasn't very high. After a while, the stone face calmed down and looked at Su Fang. I don't know if it was a success. The whirlpool has left the restriction. Su Fang said calmly, wait a while. If my man is outside, he will use the same aura as me to trigger the restriction. When that happens, you should be able to sense that something is amiss. In the process of waiting, the stone face and Su Fang both used their senses and abilities to sense if there was any movement in the space around them. But after an hour, there was still no movement. Continue. If the first time didn't work, they would try a second time and a third time. The stone face once again activated the altar and fused it with the spatial origin energy. The Tao rune's aura that Su Fang spat out were also sucked into the whirlpool that was forming. But this time, there was no movement. Large droplets of sweat dripped down Su Fang's forehead. He had used the life-shortening technique twice and felt that he had used up tens of years of his lifespan. Then, he meditated and felt the shackles pressing down on him. Still, there was no movement. He activated it a third time. This time, Su Fang condensed the Tao runes of the life-shortening technique by 1-fold. This meant that he had used up no less than 50 years of his lifespan. The stone face trembled again and again. Buzz! A sound that sounded like a bell from beyond the heavens suddenly came from the stone face. The stone face immediately nodded. There is movement. When the whirlpool just left, there was a force that hit the space around the restriction. Let me sense it. He used the life-shortening technique and fused it with his physical body. He could sense the infinite power of the life-shortening technique. With the help of the stone face, he pushed it towards the restriction. Master, master, master. Indeed, the power of the life-shortening technique and the power of the life-shortening technique allowed Su Fang to hear Feng Xingzhen's voice from outside the restriction. After a while, Exalted Yuezhin's voice also sounded. What kind of ability is this? It's actually not shackled by the restriction. You have to know that Yuan spirits are unable to pass through the restrictions set up by Master. If Yuan spirits were able to pass through the restrictions, then wouldn't Master's training grounds have been discovered by human experts for tens of thousands of years? The stone face cried out in disbelief. I have my own methods. Otherwise, how could I have survived from your true body? How could I have suppressed your Master's yang soul? Su Fang replied forcefully, prepare to help me leave. Pull me into the whirlpool. You have to think carefully. If you collide with the restriction, you might die without a complete corpse. It's better than sitting here and waiting for death. Core blessing. After receiving confirmation, the stone face began to activate its core. A black stone essence, qi, fused with the altar and turned into a black xianguang. With a flash, Su Fang arrived inside the black xianguang. After a while, a set of armor appeared in his hand. It was a king-grade protective armor. Since it was the 7 Star Child's treasure, it could be put to good use. He would first wear it. Then he used the life-shrinking art. Su Fang immediately turned illusory, and the divine power of fate began to seep out. Good luck. Remember, we might meet again. When that day comes, my master won't let you off. Just wait to be cut by 1,000 blades. The stone face suddenly opened its mouth. Space twisted, and the black xianguang wrapped around Su Fong flew toward the restriction in the air. It seemed like the restriction had been there for a long time, but in truth, it was deep within the formation. After several breaths, a layer of restriction appeared in front of him, covering the entire training grounds. He had no other choice. He had the armor, the life-shrinking art, and most importantly, exalted Yuezhan was outside. This was the only way to leave. Bang! After moving forward for a while, he happened to encounter a vortex condensing. The black xianguang protected Su Fong as they flew into the storm. However, in an instant, like a collapsed building, the storm and the restriction fused together. It was equivalent to Su Fong being heavily injured by the restriction. The black xianguang was constantly shaking. Fortunately, part of the power of the vibration was absorbed by the armor. What entered Su Fong's body was only the training grounds. Persevering, the black xianguang was worthy of the stone face's space origin power. It forcibly followed the storm into the depths of the restriction. The storm just happened to be the pioneer. When it passed through the storm, it also brought out the black xianguang. Su Fong was shaking until he spat out blood. His whole body was numb. He also saw the black xianguang successfully pass through the restriction with the storm. However, before he could be happy, there was another restriction in front of him. It was still forcibly passed through with the storm. During this process, Su Fong felt that the armor on his body was about to be crushed. He could barely keep up with his breathing. Fortunately, he passed through the second restriction in the end. However, when the third restriction arrived, Su Fong was close to despair. This was because the third restriction was far too profound. This was a formation that fused together countless restrictions outside the training grounds. Even a catastrophe realm powerhouse would be unable to shake this formation. The arrow was on the bowstring. He had no choice. Holding his breath, Su Fong only felt a rumbling pressure. He looked around. The black xianguang was actually being crushed by the formation in the storm, layer by layer, disappearing. It was over. Once the black xianguang was broken, Su Fong would be unable to leave. However, he still persevered. Suddenly, there was an explosion. The black xianguang was completely shattered. The power of the formation directly pressed down on Su Fong's armor. Crack! Even a king-grade defensive treasure armor was cracked in an instant. It would probably shatter into pieces in 3 breaths' time. If a king-grade magic treasure was crushed by the formation, could a catastrophe realm powerhouse leave? Chapter 416. No wonder the stone golem was not confident at all. Could it be the extent of the shattering of the armor instantly spread throughout his body, and Su Fong could clearly feel it. Once the armor was broken, the power of the barrier would instantly tear Su Fong's body to pieces. It really couldn't be done. He could only activate the origin sacred realm again. Boom! Boom! At this thrilling moment, suddenly outside the barrier, just in front of Su Fong, he felt a big explosion not far away, as if there was a distance collision with the barrier. "Kid, don't be afraid." A familiar voice spread out. Su Fong's spirit was lifted. Seniorly, another heroic voice, like the voice of the ninth heaven, fell. "Haha, I didn't expect the Wu-Tang realm to have such an extraordinary barrier. I have been roaming for countless years, but I have never encountered such a barrier. Let's see if I can break it." The Lord of 5 Poisons is also here. Su Fong showed an excited smile again. He immediately released the divine life shrinking technique, turned it into a supreme divine power, and released it into the depths of the storm. Then, he condensed the flesh fetus divine armor, activated the Rakshasa Jade Bottle, and the Xianhuang's 6 Paths Pagoda. The defensive power of the 2 treasures was added to Su Fong's body. Blessing. This was the importance of magic treasures to cultivators. The power of magic treasures could be merged with the cultivator and transferred to the cultivator's body. Boom! The king-grade defensive armor shattered in an instant with the gravity. Fortunately, there was the flesh fetus divine armor, which merged with the power of the 2 treasures, turned into a supreme defensive armor. The huge force of the barrier was still pressing Su Fong to the point of self-destruction. It was too terrifying. Su Fong really understood how shocking the power of the Seven Stars Child was. The two treasures, together with the flesh fetus divine armor, probably could not last more than 3 breaths. Chi. Fortunately, in this gap, the storm wrapped Su Fong and passed through the barrier for a distance. At this moment, an amazing force turned into an arrow, and from the outside of the barrier, it shot a hole. In the arrow, the voice of the exalted Master Yuezhan suddenly came, "Master, Master, I'm here. Get ready. Roll me out of the barrier." Hearing exalted Master Yuezhan's clear voice and seeing the arrow shatter the enchantment, it turned out that Seven Star Child's enchantment was not invincible. Of course, this was due to the cooperation of the Lord of Five Poisons, Li Ziqing, and exalted Master Yuezhan. Especially the Lord of Five Poisons. His strength at his peak was comparable to Seven Stars Child who had yet to become an immortal. Activating the power of the Heavenly Secret Life shrinking technique and using the defensive power of the 2 Dharma artifacts, he immediately rushed into the depths of the storm. Ignoring everything else, he exploded with power and grabbed the arrow with both hands. With a whoosh, Su Fong finally caught the arrow, and from the arrows, he could sense the Lord of Five Poisons, Li Ziqing, exalted Man Yuezhan, Feng Xingzhen, Mo Fengjun, and other servants. Come out! The 3 giants unleashed their godly might that could uproot mountains and rivers. They were like a bolt of lightning from beyond the heavens. The arrow also released a wrapping power that enveloped Su Fong. Then, a suction force came from the end of the arrow. Chi the arrow's power enveloped Su Fong and pierced out like a sharp sword, forcibly pulling Su Fong out of the barrier. Amazing, he actually managed to leave. The experts outside the barrier have such strength, but they can only shake the barrier. It's impossible for them to enter. The stone face in the space was in a state of shock. Whoosh! Su Fong felt that under the arrow's wrapping, he turned into a flame and escaped from the barrier. The shackles disappeared and were replaced by natural spiritual energy. Su Fong felt as if he had returned to the surface from underground. It was very comfortable. Water. Looking around, he was still deep in the water. It's the 3 experts. Looking up, there was a huge Xianguang above him. Within the Xianguang, the Lord of Five Poisons, Li Ziqing, and exalted Man Yuezhan were floating. Feng Xingzhen, Mo Fengjun, and the other servants were behind them. The 3 experts used the Xianguang barrier. The arrow came from the barrier. This power pulled Su Fong from the dark water into the Xianguang barrier. Buzz! The arrow's protective power completely disappeared. Exalted Man Yuezhan quickly walked over. "Master, I'm fine, but I have to thank you." His body relaxed and was about to faint. Fortunately, his vitality was exploding. Exalted Man Yuezhan came to the front of the Lord of Five Poisons and Li Ziqing and bowed. "Junior thanks the 2 seniors for saving me. If it wasn't for the 2 seniors, I wouldn't have been able to leave that shackled space. Since you entered the storm, we have been looking for you in the water, waiting for you. Fortunately, you were able to release your aura from the void, allowing exalted man Yuezhan to sense you. Finally, we locked onto your position and joined forces to attack the mysterious barrier hidden in the depths of the water. With your actions, we guessed that you were trapped in the barrier and wanted to cooperate with us. Therefore, the 3 of us joined forces to attack you." Li Ziqing and the Lord of Five Poisons spoke one after another, appearing very calm. However, the Lord of Five Poisons was infinitely curious. "The space you fell into is really mysterious. We have been unable to sense the specific location. It turns out that it was directly below the central water of the Seven Stars Demon Island. In the end, it was because of you that you were able to come out alive. What kind of secret is there in the space?" Li Ziqing was also curious. After all, he was a cultivator of the Wu-Tan realm. Naturally, he was curious about the secrets of the Seven Stars Demon Island. "Seniors, in such a short period of time, Su Fong's spirit had already more or less recovered. This Seven Stars Island is a life's Tao field created by an expert called the Seven Stars Child hundreds of thousands of years ago, and the Tao field that controls the island is the space that I fell into. Fortunately, that expert called the Seven Stars Child had already successfully become an immortal a long time ago and flew out of the small world. Otherwise, with him here, I wouldn't be able to escape even if I had wings. It turned out to be a powerhouse's Tao field. What great courage, what great means to refine a natural water into a Tao field. Li Ziqing sighed and looked at the Lord of Five Poisons. Sect Master has cultivated for tens of thousands of years. You should have seen this kind of place before, right? The Lord of Five Poisons shook his head. Other small worlds do have such mysterious places, but we have never explored them. We don't want to cause trouble. However, this powerhouse named Seven Stars Child is really powerful. He built such an incredible Tao field. Su Fang's expression was solemn. I haven't solved all the secrets of the Seven Stars Island because Seven Stars Child is still alive. Moreover, he is an immortal and will come back at any time. Moreover, I broke into his Tao field and took a lot of his treasures. This immortal will come back to the lower realm at any time to find me. Therefore, I have to leave the Seven Stars Demon Island as soon as possible. Especially Senior Lee. You can't leave your aura here and be found by Seven Stars Child. The Lord of Five Poisons couldn't help but praise, "Kid, you are really bold. Not only did you take away my Rakshasa Jade bottle, but you also took Seven Stars Child's treasures. You're right. Since Seven Stars Child is so powerful, I have to be careful." Li Ziqing didn't dare to be careless. Moreover, I accidentally learned that Seven Stars Child has a deep relationship with the Green Lotus Sword sect. He once protected them. Therefore, if he comes back and learns of your relationship with me, he will definitely use the Green Lotus Sword sect to deal with you. I don't want to put you in danger because of this. Since the Green Lotus Sword sect is related to him, you've poked a hornet's nest. It will be difficult for you to escape from Seven Stars Child. He is an immortal. We still have time to prepare. Only the Lord of Five Poisons wasn't afraid. Instead, he was looking forward to it. Junior's alchemy dojo can't stay here either. After giving the order to Exalted Master Yuezhan, the old antique immediately disappeared. Everyone left the water and returned to the surface. It was still the familiar misty world. An hour later, Exalted Master Yuezhan brought several hundred slaves to meet up with them. Aside from Exalted Master Yuezhan, the other slaves had been sucked into the profound yellow space by Su Fang. Since we're in a hurry, let's directly use the teleportation talisman and return to the Moonset mountain range. We can make a good plan then. Li Ziqing suggested. They had no objections. Li Ziqing crushed a teleportation talisman, and the four of them instantly disappeared from Seven Star Demon Island. After several teleportation talismans, in about half an incense stick's worth of time, they returned to the central territory of the Wutan realm, Moonset Mountain Range. The moment the four of them returned, they hid their auras. They were all worried that Seven Stars Child would sense their auras and kill them in the future. The palace. The four of them sat down. Exalted Master Yuezhan said with concern, "Master, your lifespan is very weak. Looking at your aura, you're too tired. You need to cultivate." The Lord of Five Poisons faintly looked over. I also sensed it. It seems you must have paid a great price to escape. Your lifespan is estimated to be only a few hundred years left. If you don't cultivate to recover, you'll only have a few dozen years at most. Then you'll exhaust everything and die. Su Fang stood up, and Exalted Master Yuezhan also bowed. Junior has thought about it. I can't stay in the Wutan realm, so I will rush back to the Zhuotian realm first to cultivate. After recovering, there will be a tough battle to fight in a few years. So Junior has to bid farewell to the two seniors first. After Junior has taken care of everything for a few years, I will come back to find the two seniors. In the future, Junior will have to rely on the help of the two seniors for my cultivation. The matter of rebuilding the Five Poisons Divine Sect is also under consideration. In the future, we'll also need your help. Go! The Lord of Five Poisons waved his hand. Li Ziqing released a terrifying divine ability that swept towards Su Fang and Exalted Master Yuezhan. The two of them disappeared in an instant. The Five Venoms Sect Master looked at Li Ziqing. This kid is a talent. Back then, when he was able to refine our sex Rakshasa J. Bharavase, we could already tell that he had extraordinary methods. Who would have thought that in today's small world, there would still be such a talented junior? Since he and I were able to come out of the Shinja gate, I knew this kid's future would be extraordinary. The two old fogies both approved of Su Fong. In an instant, outside St. Lotus City, they didn't expect Li Ziqing's divine ability to teleport Su Fong, an exalted master Yuezhan, from the Moonfall Mountain Range to St. Lotus City, which was controlled by the Green Lotus Sword sect. Swoosh! Exalted Master Yuezhan returned to the profound yellow space. Before entering, Su Fong had told him to go to another space and not meet Lanhai City. As for Blue Sea City, it was located in a huge space in Bound of Universe, which was not the same as the junior commanders and the servants. Su Fong also didn't want Lanhai City to know everything about her. After all, she still had to work for Huang Lingyao. Who knew what would happen in the future? Junior apprentice brother, Lanhai City appeared from the pagoda shadow. When she saw St. Lotus City and the vast world, she was truly relieved. It took her a long time to believe that she had finally escaped from the space alive. Su Fong looked ahead. Is senior apprentice sister Huang still in St. Lotus City? Yes. She has something important to do in the Wutan world. Why? Senior apprentice sister needs Huang Lingyao's help to slowly recover. I hope she won't tell her about our experience on the 7-star Demon Island. This, as Su Fong expected, Lanhai City was very conflicted. However, she still nodded. I can guess what you're thinking. Don't worry, I'll find another reason. Junior apprentice brother will bid farewell to senior apprentice sister here. I still have to rush back to the Zhuotian world and prepare to fight Prince Shui. Su Fong cupped her fists. Take care of yourself. Thank you. Lan Haiqing was reluctant to part, and she whispered to him, I, Su Fong, am very lucky. Remember when you met me in the Immortal Sealing Sect? I am Fong Yu. After leaving behind those words and the sealed throne, Su Fong disappeared without a trace. Chapter 417. St. Lotus City A. Silver Su Fong appeared on the street. Although he looked like an ordinary person, he still attracted a lot of attention. A disciple of the Green Lotus Sword sect hurried over. When the passers-by saw him, they all made way for him. In the St. Lotus City, who would dare to offend a disciple of the Green Lotus Sword sect? If he looked at her for too long, he would be killed. You came. Su Fong looked at the newcomer and nodded slightly. It was Gu Shizhen. Gu Shizhen welcomed Su Fong into a restaurant. After sitting down, he immediately asked, Master, you seem to be unwell. This time, I encountered a strong enemy on the 7 Stars Demon Island. Fortunately, it was resolved. It's just that my injuries have yet to recover. I want to return to the Zhuotian realm and pass through the mysterious door. My destination is the ruins of the Spirit Sect. The ruins of the Spirit Sect are not a problem. Most of the teleportation doors from the St. Lotus City to the Zhuotian realm are headed to the Zhuotian realm. There's one more thing you have to pay attention to. Perhaps one day in the future, the Green Lotus Sword sect will take action against the 7 Stars Demon Island. That's because there's a supreme expert there who was once a protector of the Green Lotus Sword sect. You're a high-level disciple of the Calamity Realm. If there's a move, you'll definitely know in advance. You have to inform me in advance. The Green Lotus Sword sect and the 7-Star Demon Island are separated by a great distance. Although it is a foreign land, it has never attracted the attention of cultivators. Everyone is wrong. Perhaps it's because it's too far in the past. After the passage of time, no one knows how extraordinary that place is. In short, once there's movement, it means that the 7-Star Demon Island's peerless giant is beginning to summon the Green Lotus Sword sect. When the time comes, just notify me. Su Fong explained. Fortunately, he had placed Gu Shizhen, a catastrophe realm expert, in the Green Lotus Sword sect. As a catastrophe realm disciple, he naturally had a grasp of the internal movements of the Green Lotus Sword sect. Once 7-Star Child returned and contacted the Green Lotus Sword sect, he would at least be on guard. After giving Gu Shizhen some immortal blood essence and other resources, The two of them immediately went to the huge mountain behind St. Lotus City. Under Gu Shijian's arrangement, Su Fong entered the shuttle formation. There were several hundred people currently waiting, all of them heading to the ruins of Zhuotian World Spirit Sect. There were also some experts who were familiar with the powers. In short, he was an imperishable realm cultivator, so he didn't stand out in the crowd at all. Su Fong was supposed to line up, but because of their connections, they directly entered the first batch of shuttles. The moment the door opened, he looked up and saw that he had already left the Wutan realm and was surrounded by a vast galaxy. The Wutan world is my blessed land. It allowed me to become an imperishable realm cultivator from the immortal realm. Wutan world was getting further and further away, but the Star River was getting deeper and deeper. Su Fong, who was sitting cross-legged in the crowd, sighed in his heart. From the outer realm Misty Forest to the Seven Stars Demon Island, he had gone through numerous adventures, tempering himself over and over again. Finally, he had forged a brave heart. His cultivation base had been promoted from the longevity realm to the 8th stage of the indestructible realm, and he had obtained the Rakshasa Jade Vase, the 5 Poison True Chi, the Black Lotus True Body, the Golden Core Origin, and other treasures. It could be said that the trip to Wutanjia was a journey of transformation for Su Fong. Prince Shui, I have to thank you. If it weren't for your pressure, I wouldn't have been forced to leave the Zhuotian world. If it weren't for the threat you brought, I wouldn't have been so motivated and courageous. A few years later, when I return to the immortal sealing sect, I will definitely pull you down from your altar. In front of me, you will no longer be so arrogant. He stared at the Wutan world in the distance, then looked ahead. The familiar Zhuotian world was getting closer and closer. In a while, he would be able to enter Zhuotianji, as long as he didn't encounter a Star River storm like last time. In the process of shuttling, he saw some heavenly boats from time to time. Su Fong was not like when he first came. He was full of curiosity about everything, his heart as calm as still water. He just wanted to quickly return to the Zhuotian world and use the next few years to cultivate and become stronger. After about half an incense stick's time, everyone witnessed the shuttling through the door and entering the infinitely large Wutan world. After a few more breaths, they felt the weight suddenly increase. The cultivators' heartbeats quickened, and their hearts almost jumped out of their throats. Buzz! A different sound came from the surroundings. A barrier appeared, and the door began to disappear. Everyone appeared in the center of the shuttling array. Around them were powerful experts from the Supreme God Sect. Someone shouted, and everyone immediately sat up. Only then did they regain their senses and leave the array. The ruins of the Spirit Sect is the best place for me to cultivate, but I still have to rush back to the meteorite field. After leaving the array, Su Fong took advantage of the fact that he didn't attract the attention of the Supreme God Sect. He felt that his appearance had changed, but his charm was still the same. After arriving at the city, Su Fong's state of mind calmed down again. The aura of his Zhuotian world made his breathing smooth. The ruins of the Spirit Sect were very big. Su Fong grabbed the teleportation talisman and gradually left the depths of the ruins. 2 hours later, Su Fong returned to the Crimson Firmament continent. The meteorite field was located between the Immortal Sealing Sect and the True Technique Sacred Immortal Sect. It was a vast and boundless wasteland. After passing through the great Yuan city controlled by the Immortal Sealing Sect, Su Fong sensed the aura of Luan Mo and the Supreme Demon King. Above the forest, when the two saw Su Fong, they excitedly came to welcome him. On the way, Su Fong learned about the secret caves alchemy situation. He knew that the cooperation with the Immortal Sealing Sect's Merchant Association had deepened, and the impotence pill sales in the Great Yuan City have become more and more popular in the past few years. After a period of development, he believed that the impotence pill sales in the Great Yuan City would surpass the pure origin pill. Since the impotence pill was already famous in the Crimson Firmament continent, it would gradually spread to the other continents. After returning to the secret cave, Su Fong saw that everyone had become experienced alchemists. He was in a good mood and took out treasures, resources, and marrow cleansing pills to reward the slaves. He also summoned Feng Xingjun, Mo Feng Jun, and hundreds of slaves from the profound yellow space. With so many experts, the Supreme Demon King and Luan Mo were shocked. Su Feng asked the slaves to cultivate first and get used to the secret cave. He then went to the secret room and summoned Exalted Master Yuezhen. Master, I will expand the underground cave by 10 times. Don't worry. Exalted Master Yuezhen received his orders and left to expand the secret cave. He took out a large amount of immortal stones and spirit stones to expand the secret room several times. He then sat down and summoned the Black Lotus True Body. He used a seal to lock it in midair. There was still half of the Black Lotus True Body that had yet to be merged. Su Feng didn't need to rush. He just needed to cultivate and merge with the Black Lotus True Body. He believed that his strength and physical body would undergo a new transformation. Buzz. After a while, a stream of blood came out of the Black Lotus True Body. Su Feng cut a wound on his chest and let the blood of the Black Lotus True Body enter his wound. There are still many things to do. I really don't have enough time to merge with the Edgeless Sword, the 7 Cauldrons, and the Golden Origin Core. Now that he was back here, he didn't need to worry about anything else. The more blood he merged with the Black Lotus True Body's blood, the more terrifying his body became. It had to be known that Su Feng's physical body's recovery speed was shocking. Even the giant monsters couldn't compare to him. If he absorbed all of the Black Lotus True Body, perhaps no one would be able to compare. About half a month later, Exalted Person Yuezhen came to the secret room. Su Feng released his young nascent soul and flew out of the secret chamber. Immediately, he saw numerous underground palaces lined up in an orderly fashion. Above and below the secret cavern were powerful catastrophe realm seals, making it more than 10 times stronger than before. The hundreds of slaves that came from the Wutan world were scattered in groups to cultivate in the underground palaces. They were still adapting to the natural aura of the Wutan world. The young nascent soul was really easy to use. The ancient said that one couldn't do 2 things at the same time. But when it came to cultivation, the impossible was broken. Exalted Person Yuezhen, Su Feng, was in a state of merging with the Black Lotus True Body. He looked at the cultivating Exalted Person Yuezhen. We're about to return to the Immortal Sealing Sect. I need to discuss a reason that the Immortal Sealing Sect won't suspect that we were able to come out of the Xinjia Gate alive. This subordinate has been thinking about this. If we don't have a good reason, the Immortal Sealing Sect won't be convinced. Furthermore, you and I are the only ones who came out of the Xinjia Gate alive. From a certain perspective, the Immortal Sealing Sect will do everything they can to obtain the secrets of the Xinjia Gate from us. I just don't want them to know how you and I came out. Master, it's actually not that difficult. Back then, it was impossible to explain why we were able to leave the Xinjia Gate. According to Master's analysis back then, leaving the Xinjia Gate was just luck. That's true. Even now, I still don't understand how we were able to leave the Xinjia Gate. If Master can take this opportunity to make a contribution and make a great contribution to the Immortal Sealing Sect, perhaps they will be less suspicious. At this moment, the Exalted Person Yuezhen's gaze was deep. Contribution. His mind was startled. After coming out of the Xinjia Gate alive and making a contribution to the Xinjia Gate, the Immortal Sealing Sect would have a hard time chasing after the Xinjia Gate. After analyzing for a long time, Su Feng gradually relaxed. You being able to return to the Immortal Sealing Sect is already a great contribution to the Immortal Sealing Sect. If I give the Immortal Sealing Sect a Tao artifact, it will be the same as making a great contribution. In the future, in the Immortal Sealing Sect, no one will be able to openly do anything to me. The Exalted Person Yuezhen said, Master, that pearl in your hand. It's that Tao artifact. I don't want to study Tao artifacts. My goal is to take back the treasures that belong to me from the Immortal Sealing Sect. I must make a great contribution to the Immortal Sealing Sect. Only then will the Immortal Sealing Sect protect me. In the history of the Immortal Sealing Sect, there has never been a disciple who gave a Tao artifact to the Immortal Sealing Sect. Tao artifacts are peerless treasures. If a disciple obtained one, they would definitely hide it. Who would give it to the sect? If Master gave a Tao artifact, it would be a great contribution. No disciple would be able to compare to that. It's just that a Tao artifact is shockingly valuable. Master, what kind of treasure do you want to take back? Could it also be a Tao artifact? Otherwise, exchanging a Tao artifact for an ordinary treasure really isn't worth it. It's decided. I'll give the Tao item to the House of Immortal Sealing. As for the treasure I want back, it has a different significance. It's not a Tao item, but it's very important to me. You and I need to talk things over. There are still many things we need to discuss. Once we get back to the House of Immortal Sealing, we'll be at the top of the world. Furthermore, I want to help you become the Grand Elder. You'll be the second most powerful person in the House of Immortal Sealing. Considering your status and strength, becoming the Grand Elder will be a piece of cake. Many thanks, Master. If I become the Grand Elder, I'll definitely be able to help Master achieve your goals. The exalted person Yuezhan was incomparably excited. The Grand Elder was the person with the greatest authority in a sect. Other than the sect master, that was the person with the greatest authority. And to become the Grand Elder, not only did one need to have shocking strength, but they also needed to have great prestige and merit to the Immortal Sealing sect. Giving up a Tao artifact, as well as some secret information about the Immortal Jia Gate, would be a great contribution. Su Fong took out a Xian Guang and tossed it to the exalted person Yuezhan. This is an immortal fruit. I've already refined it. There's also an immortal's essence blood. It was also high-level energy. The exalted person Yuezhan happily accepted it. He had been looking forward to this day. He couldn't refine high-level energy. Even if he obtained the immortal fruit, it was useless. He could only count on Su Fong. The exalted person Yuezhan was extremely confident. Subordinate strength has already recovered to how it was several thousand years ago. Adding on the immortal's essence blood, as well as many high-level energies, subordinate strength might not reach the same level as the Lord of Five Poisons, but subordinate strength is still unrivaled within the Calamity Realm. Although subordinate strength isn't the strongest, I still have the qualifications to become the Grand Elder. I have to break through to the 9th Undying stage. His body suddenly shook, and Su Fong beamed with joy. Chapter 4:18. Indestructible 9th layer. If he advanced, his lifespan would increase again, and the impact on Su Fong would be indescribable. When exalted Master Yuezhan learned that Su Fong was about to break through again, he continued to cultivate. As for the external dojo, Demon King Shangzuan and Luan Mo were still in charge. Strands of tribulation energy were hovering above his head, and there was a large amount of energy absorbed from the 7 Stars Demon Island in his body. Breaking through to the indestructible 9th layer wasn't a problem. Under the seal of the 100 acupoints finger technique, the meridians in his body began to expand, and the energy became more and more abundant. His body was like a rubber ball, unable to expand anymore. Whoosh whoosh, a large amount of energy fiercely rushed out. This time, the energy was very different. It seemed that the energy was connected by silk threads, which was incredible. Su Fong himself also noticed the change, and he felt that it was brought about by the Black Lotus True Body. Bang, then his body shook, and the impurities in the fetal membrane kept pouring out. Almost at the same time, his body began to be attacked by the power of advancement, and the precipitates in his body turned into impurities and were expelled. Su Fong guided the power of advancement to attack his body, and the young infant was also assisting. After taking some resources, the newly promoted body was flooded with energy, making Su Fong feel refreshed. Indestructible 9th layer. At this moment, Su Fong's silver light became softer, and he sensed his lifespan. He estimated that he had recovered about 300 years, and the shackles on his body had disappeared. My condition is very good. Breaking through to the indestructible 9th layer isn't the end. I have to continue cultivating and finally step into the indestructible 10th layer. There's still a third of the Black Lotus True Body left. I believe it won't be a big problem to reach the indestructible 10th layer, and it's also possible to reach the young infant realm. If I can break through to the indestructible 10th layer in a few years and step into the young infant realm in one fell swoop, I'll be more confident in fighting Prince Shui. After the advancement, he immediately cut a lot of wounds on his body, and a young infant immortal flower was divided into several parts and implanted into the wounds. There were also marrow-cleansing pills, and most of them were immortal fruits. At this time, Su Fang found that the speed at which his body could directly devour energy had increased by a lot. Looking carefully, it turned out that the blood vessels in his blood had become more viscous. Even more than half of his bones were filled with blood vessels. The power of the great perfection and the Black Lotus true body had turned Su Fang's body into a devouring monster. He could even devour resources that were of a higher level than his own. The undying 9 heavenly layers put me in a very good state. My strength has increased, and my lifespan has been restored, causing my entire body to transform. If it weren't for the fact that my lifespan consumption was too severe, causing a huge impact on my cultivation, I believe my overall transformation would be even more astonishing. The young infant examined the inside of his body. His flesh had already become a complete body of blood strands. They were all intertwined with each other. A perfect flesh body was rarely seen in the world. His body fused with the various resources and directly swallowed some resources. Then, he let the young infant be responsible for cultivating the 9 transformations in the Heavenly Demon Book. Meditate for a while, he opened his palm, revealing a golden core that shone with a golden luster. Origin Golden Core. It was a supreme treasure that had taken the 7-star child countless years to condense. Senior apprentice sister was wrong at the time. I don't have a golden core, but I'm not like those cultivators who want to recover their golden cores. That's because the cultivation of a void cultivator is not shackled, so it's more suitable for me. Holding the golden core, he felt that it would be of great use. He had to make good use of it. I can't fuse with the golden core perfectly, but I can implant it in my body. It's just like the golden core I used to seal the demonic aura in the past. It can be used as an energy space. After thinking about it, he asked Exalted Cultivator Yuezhan for advice. After just a few sentences, he smiled. Void core. Not bad, not bad. Implant the Origin Golden Core into the Dantian without fusing it perfectly. However, it's also the center of energy in the Dantian. It looks like a golden core in the body, but it's actually just a void core used to store energy. Exalted Cultivator Yuezhan suggested to let Su Fang refine a void core. What was a void core? Many experts were worried that their golden cores would shatter. In order to protect their golden cores, they would often use some extraordinary methods. The void core was one of the brilliant methods. An expert would snatch a golden core and implant it in the Dantian in front of the real golden core. Using the implanted golden core, the original golden core would be hidden. This was the void core. There were too many benefits to doing this. When fighting with experts, when the golden core was attacked, the void core would bear the attack first. Any damage would not cause any damage to the original golden core. Another great benefit was that it could be used as a space to store energy, magic treasures, and resources. Refining the Origin Golden Core into a void core is not bad. In this way, it will be even more difficult for people to see through my methods. Moreover, the Origin Golden Core should also contain the amazing power of the Black Lotus, which can help me cultivate. After making up his mind, he immediately performed a seal, especially the power of the Black Lotus True Body. It wrapped around the Origin Golden Core and added a drop of blood to completely burn the Golden Core. Soon, the Golden Core appeared in front of Su Fang's young nascent soul. There were countless layers of seals on the Golden Core, and each layer was very strong. The hardness of this Origin Golden Core had reached a very high level in the catastrophe realm. It was similar to a high-quality, high-grade magic treasure. It was a supreme treasure in itself. The space inside the Golden Core was very vast. He could feel the aura of the Black Lotus and the origin power of the 7 Stars Demon Island's Space Dao field. If I refine this Golden Core, I will definitely be able to step into the young nascent soul realm and continue to break through. While he was excited, the origin golden core had already entered his lower abdomen and slowly came to his dantian. Fortunately, Su Fong now had the Black Lotus true body, which made the origin golden core easy to fuse. If it were other cultivators, fusing with the origin golden core would be a pipe dream. He then performed a seal and fused it with the seals inside the golden core. He also began to guide the true chi in his body into the origin golden core. In the deep space of the golden core, a black lotus made of energy appeared. It seemed that after 7 stars child refined it, it contained the powerful power of the black lotus. After a long time, the power of the black lotus had finally evolved into this form. If the origin golden core had been around for tens of thousands of years, it might have formed an indescribable power. The origin golden core and the black lotus true body are a perfect match. It allows me to perfectly control the golden core. This golden core can store too much energy. It's really incredible. I have to make good use of it. It was still fusing. At the same time, it was absorbing the remaining 1/3 of the power of the black lotus true body. Blood kept flowing into the wound in his chest. The young nascent soul was in charge of cultivation, while Su Fong fused with the origin golden core. He also began to comprehend the 7 divine powers of the immortal sealing sect. Currently, only the heaven ruler divine steps and the immortal sealing scripture were difficult to cultivate. These 2 divine powers required a high cultivation level to comprehend and cultivate. Su Fong had cultivated the heaven ruler divine steps since a long time ago. He could only grasp the basic footwork. The specialized divine powers were to fuse with space. Su Fong had not even comprehended the divine form. The immortal sealing sect was needless to say. It was a scripture of the great Tao. Without mastering the Tao, how could he comprehend the essence of the true scriptures within? The path of cultivation was one step at a time. Only through accumulation could one understand the heavenly Tao and break through the tribulation. From time to time, the Daoyuo heavenly sword Qi would appear around Su Fong. Sometimes there would be waves of cold air or the ferocious little yellow divine cosmic force. The claw marks formed by the heavenly dragon divine claws would also appear from time to time. As for the azure fiendish true fire, Su Fong's degree of control had probably already surpassed the young nascent soul realm or even the average catastrophe realm disciple. About 3 months later, the fusion of the golden core of origin was almost complete. It was already amazing that he could gain so much in such a short time. If he wanted to fuse it perfectly, he would first have to fuse it perfectly with the Black Lotus true body. It's easier to activate the flaming cloud spiritual gourd now. It's also absorbing more of my essence. Could it be the power of the Black Lotus true body? He felt that there was a Dharma treasure in his body that was devouring his vitality. Su Fong took a look. It was the flaming cloud spiritual gourd. When the flaming cloud spiritual gourd left his palm, it first formed a connection with the dragon taming wood's left arm. The flaming cloud spiritual gourd slowly absorbed the dragon taming wood's essence. Both treasures were naturally wood-type spiritual treasures. However, the flaming cloud spiritual gourd's quality was not as good as the dragon taming wood. Coupled with the fusion of Su Fong's body, the 2 Dharma treasures began to form a connection. It's easier for me to activate the flaming cloud spiritual gourd now. It must be the special power of the Black Lotus in my body that makes it easier to activate wood-type Dharma treasures. After some research, although there was a discovery, Su Fong felt very helpless. The transformation of natural spiritual treasures was very slow. It could not keep up with the pace of his cultivation. In fact, he also understood that the formation of natural spiritual treasures took at least tens of thousands of years. Their cultivation speed was slow. For example, the dragon taming would needed at least tens of thousands of years to absorb natural essence to become such a treasure. The flaming cloud spiritual gourd could only grow in 1,000 years because of the heavenly gourd spiritual tree. The heavenly gourd spiritual tree probably grew even longer than the origin black lotus of the Wu-Tan realm. This meant that natural spiritual treasures were actually more difficult to cultivate than ordinary Dharma treasures. Other than the flaming cloud spiritual gourd, there was also the flaming god elephant and the 13 flaming crystal golems. These were also difficult. They needed to grow over a long period of time. It was a long river that could not be crossed. People were born, grew old, and died in the blink of an eye. Humans were unable to change this trajectory. Natural spiritual treasures were also unable to cross the river of time. They could only slowly grow in the long river. After absorbing a large amount of stone golem's stone essence, my body is also filled with abundant earth-type energy. It's easier to activate the flaming god elephant and the 13 golems. I can also help them cultivate. He found many more benefits. In summary, with the black lotus and the stone essence he absorbed, Su Fang could easily activate wood-type and earth-type Dharma treasures in the future. King Green Feather, thank you for the power you left me. At this moment, Su Fang was absorbing the myriad god seal that King Green Feather had planted in the profound yellow space. He was absorbing the 7 divine ability seeds from it. It was because of the 7 seeds that Su Fang was able to cultivate the 7 divine abilities. Every time Su Fang saw the seal, he would never forget that majestic green feather rock. His heart ached. In short, King Green Feather's death was inseparable from the choice he had made back then. If he had admitted his wrongs to Prince Shui, he wouldn't have needed to enter the Xinjia Gate. He also wouldn't have indirectly caused King Green Feather's death. After thinking about it for a while, his mood calmed down. As he absorbed the 7 seeds, he also saw the human emperor's bright wheel fragment. Some time ago, Su Fang had spent a lot of effort trying to fuse with it, but it always remained motionless. Right, since I fused with the world essence of the Wu-Tan realm to form the Black Lotus, I should also have source energy in my body. Why don't I try fusing with the human emperor's bright wheel fragment? An explosion sounded in his head. He came to the center and waved his hand. From the seal, he grasped the human emperor's bright wheel fragment in his palm. He immediately circulated his true qi, using the power of the Black Lotus as the center. After wrapping around the human emperor's bright wheel fragment, he hoped that the Black Lotus essence could fuse with it. But after a long time, the human emperor's bright wheel fragment couldn't move at all. It was still a cold artifact fragment. This thing is really infuriating. It was completely a block of wood. It didn't move at all and didn't react at all. At first, he thought that after fusing with the Black Lotus, his body would definitely have the source energy of the Wu-Tan realm, which was the world's aura. Since it was the power of the world, perhaps he could make the human emperor's bright wheel fragment react and fuse with it. In the end, he was greatly disappointed. He didn't know how powerful this peerless artifact fragment was. Perhaps it was broken, which was why it couldn't fuse with true qi. Chapter 419. If that was the case, wouldn't that mean that once he obtained the fragment, he could only treat it as a token? It was a treasure that could allow him to find the human emperor world in the future and fuse with it. Su Fang's idea was correct. If he could fuse with the fragment, he would have the advantage. He could use the fragment to find the other fragment's auras and obtain them one by one. In the end, he could fuse with it and obtain the human emperor world's inheritance, becoming a peerless world lord. Once he became a world lord, he would be a supreme emperor in this small world. An emperor was an existence that could make any life form submit to him. Once he became a world lord, the laws of this small world would be decided by him. Damn you, I can't do anything to you. Looking at the treasure in his hand, it was truly a heavenly treasure. How would he describe this fragment? With it, he wouldn't just have a treasure. He would have a chance to become a world lord. Compared to a Tao item was stronger. No, of course it was a world lord. A world lord had an undying body, while a Tao item had to be destroyed. With a small world as a life domain, even if he went to a great world, he would still be a supreme existence. It could be said that on Su Fang's body, aside from the origin sage, the purple Qi Dharma spirit, and the Xianwang Six Paths Pagoda, There was no other treasure that could compare to the fragment. Just one fragment was enough for Su Fong to become a supreme world lord in the future. There was no need to mention the origin sage. The purple Chi Dharma spirit made Su Fong extremely extraordinary. It seemed to have a mysterious power that all treasures acknowledged. Furthermore, it was a family treasure. The Xianwang Six Paths Pagoda was going to become Su Fong's life domain treasure in the future. Its importance was self-evident. Apart from these three treasures, the other treasures couldn't compare to a world lord. Once he became a world lord, he would have all the treasures apart from the three treasures. I have to think of a way. If it doesn't fuse with me, am I supposed to just accept it? Touching this hot potato, Su Fong was not reconciled. Why was it that when the treasure that everyone wanted to own fell into his hands, he could only look on helplessly? That's right, the Tianji life shrinking art. This mystical, great divine ability can allow me to erase the will of any magical treasure and sever the connection between the magical treasure and its owner. Why can't I use the Tianji life shrinking art and fuse with the human emperor's Ming chakra fragment? I heard that the realm lord of the human emperor world has fallen, and the human emperor's Ming chakra fragment is also an ownerless item. I can forcefully fuse with it. Integration of Rakshasa Jade Vase had helped Blue Sea City erase the will of the Seven Star Child's throne and the Seven Cauldrons by relying on the life shrinking technique. However, I have to condense even more of the Black Lotus's aura, as well as my yin and yang energy. Although the Black Lotus's power is astonishing, the reason I was able to fuse them in the end was because of my yin and yang energy. After a while, a large amount of yin and yang aura once again enveloped the fragments of the human emperor bright wheel. After reaching a shocking level, Su Fong started to use the heaven's secret life shrinking technique. He was so shocked that he started to sweat. Using the heaven's secret life shrinking technique again consumed his lifespan. The creation of destiny, the master of heaven's secrets. If I am the master, all the worlds will submit to me. After reaching a perfect state, countless Tao runes surged out from the depths of his mind. He used the young infant to control and absorb them, turning them into streaks of red light that shot out from Su Fong's eyes. Buzz, the Tao runes that contained Su Fong's will and came from the supreme power of the void of destiny, combined with the yin and yang energy, struck the fragment of the human emperor bright wheel. It seemed to consume a certain amount of his lifespan, probably a few decades. This didn't affect Su Fong too much, but he still broke out in a cold sweat. He stared at the fragment of the human emperor bright wheel. He didn't believe that there wouldn't be any reaction. Suddenly, the broken fragment of the human emperor bright wheel actually emitted an ethereal aura like a galaxy. Although it wasn't very strong, it did react under the life shrinking technique. Fuse. He immediately activated the yin and yang energy. At this moment, as the power of the Tao runes burned, the yin and yang energy also began to enter the fragment of the human emperor bright wheel. However, the speed was very slow. It was very different for what he expected. Moreover, the flames of the Tao runes were about to burn out. It really gave Su Fong a headache. Who is it? Just as he couldn't figure out who the fragment of the human emperor bright wheel was, an ethereal voice came from the fragment of the human emperor bright wheel. Su Fong pricked up his ears and was overjoyed. Oh, could it be an origin spirit who is awakening my consciousness and wants to fuse with my human emperor bright wheel? The voice floated out again, but it was intermittent. No matter who you are, if you really have the ability to awaken my consciousness and find the human emperor bright wheel, then the human emperor world will be yours. Do you understand? It won't be easy for you to become the master of the human emperor world. Your power is too weak. I can't sense you anymore. Until the last word came, the voice abruptly stopped. It was as if it had never appeared. Then, the fragment of the human emperor bright will instantly returned to its cold appearance and didn't move at all. Is that voice an origin spirit? Since it can control the fragment of the human emperor bright wheel, then it must be the master of the human emperor bright wheel. Could it be the fallen realm lord of the human emperor world? After being shocked for a long time, he looked at the fragment of the human Emperor Bright wheel again and helplessly shook his head. Although the fragment of the human Emperor Bright didn't fuse with the power of yin and yang, it was still too weak. That person said that I'm not strong enough. Perhaps that's true. My cultivation is too weak. Although the power of yin and yang and the life shrinking technique are both extraordinary, they still need to be strong to activate. The stronger I am, the different the effects of activating them. It seems that I'll have to wait until I'm stronger in the future to try again. Although he hadn't fused with it, he had gained something. He hid the fragment of the human Emperor Bright wheel as if it was a treasure. With the life shrinking technique, I have more confidence than anyone else in fusing with the human Emperor Bright wheel. The human Emperor world will definitely belong to Su Fong in the future. I want to build a small world for my family, Su. His heart was filled with ambition. He floated in the profound yellow space. With a thought, the 7 cauldrons appeared. What good cauldron? It's called the 7-star cauldron. It was refined by the 7-star child. Not only can it be used to refine pills, but it can also be used as a spatial storage item. When I suppressed the 7-star cauldron origin spirit in the origin sacred realm, I took the opportunity to use the life-shrinking technique and erase the wills of the throne and cauldron origin spirits. Fortunately, I had the life-shrinking technique. Otherwise, Lan Haicheng and I wouldn't have been able to use these treasures. He condensed a lot of blood and dripped it into the 7-star cauldron. The fusion was very simple. In a short while, the 7 cauldrons were under Su Fong's control. These were king-grade cauldrons, which could be used to refine the life-seizing recreating pill. But now he still needed to focus on the impotence pill. The life-seizing recreating pill required a catastrophe realm expert to refine and spend a lot of time. Moreover, he already had a lot of life-seizing recreating pills. He wasn't in a hurry to refine such a high-grade pill that consumed his mind. He took the 7 cauldrons and left the profound yellow space. Inside the secret room, after a while, Wan Mo and the Supreme Demon King came to the secret room. With a wave of his hand, the 7 cauldrons appeared out of thin air. These are the 7-star cauldrons, king-grade cauldrons. It won't be a problem to refine the impotence pill. The 2 of you will guard them. Use them to refine young nascent realm impotence pills. This time, we've increased the number of slaves. The 2 of them quietly left the secret room after receiving the order. Edgeless sword. At this moment, he flipped his hand and pressed down. A black stone sword stuck to his palm. The edgeless sword didn't have a blade. It was a peerless earth-type treasure refined by the 7-star child. He stroked the edgeless sword. Strength. The edgeless sword's strength is its strength. It's a perfect match for me. Under the power of my perfect physical body, the edgeless sword can resist any king-grade magic treasure. It can also help me exchange a few moves with a catastrophe realm expert. It wasn't easy for a cultivator to find a suitable weapon. It wasn't a low-grade magic treasure, but the magic treasure's ability couldn't perfectly match with a cultivator. The edgeless sword's strength wasn't its internal space or restrictions, but its hardness. Thinking about how tough the stone golem was, the edgeless sword refined from its core was even more powerful. Furthermore, Su Fong had absorbed a large amount of stone essence energy from the stone golem. He could use this energy to control the edgeless sword. Without the stone golem's power, it would still be difficult to control the edgeless sword. He fused a drop of blood onto the edgeless sword. The spirit sword easily fused with the blood. It sensed the same aura as the blood and happily accepted the restriction. From then on, this earth-type stone sword became the most commonly used offensive weapon in Su Fong's hands. The young nascent soul immediately entered the edgeless sword. There was still space, but it was filled with stone essence energy. The space barrier existed to seal energy and didn't contain any other divine abilities. Countless restrictions wove the edgeless sword into a flawless earth-type magic treasure. When it was activated, the edgeless sword itself didn't contain any divine abilities. But when Su Fong activated it, the edgeless sword could still explode with tyrannical divine abilities. After fusing with it, he controlled the restrictions. After fusing with it for a while, he sucked the edgeless sword into his palm and transmitted to Exalted Master Yuezhin. I have a life-seizing recreating pill here. Do you need it? Exalted Master Yuezhin replied. I also have some life-seizing recreating pills. It's enough for now. This kind of pill is very helpful to the Calamity Realm, but it doesn't have much use for Yang Soul and Imperishable Realm cultivators. Moreover, it will cause pressure on the cultivator's physical body. This is an undying flower that has reached the Calamity Realm. It should be very useful to you. Calamity Realm Undying Flower. Exalted Master Yuezhin immediately opened his eyes. An undying flower was floating in front of him. He was extremely excited. This kind of undying flower is extremely rare. It can only be obtained by chance in some dangerous places. Each one is extremely precious and will be of great help to me. Su Fong condensed several drops of immortal essence blood and fused them with his body. At this time, he looked at the fused Black Lotus True Body. Its body had become much smaller and looked like it was about to disappear. When he checked his body, whether it was true chi or life force, they had both reached the peak of the imperishable realm. With the fusion of so many precious resources, this kind of change was within reason, especially the subduing dragonwood and the Black Lotus. These two peerless wood attribute spiritual items gave him abundant life force. Luan Mo came to see Su Fong again. He gave Su Fong the large amount of pure origin pills and spirit stones he had obtained from the immortal bestowment chamber of commerce. It was an extremely shocking amount of wealth. It was enough to establish a third-rate power. In truth, Su Fong's current resources were enough to establish a decent power. For example, the Broken Sword Sect. With Su Fong's treasures and resources, he could establish a power comparable to the Broken Sword Sect. Su Fong also gave Luan Mo a large amount of Yang energy runes. Now that the amount of Yang energy required was dozens of times greater than before, Su Fong had to condense a large amount of runes. Fortunately, his cultivation had increased, so condensing Yang energy runes was also easy. Whoosh! He continued to cultivate and released his peak strength. Suddenly, he heard the sound of wind breaking. It was flying over the secret training ground. What a familiar aura! At this distance, Su Fong could roughly sense the other party's aura. Moreover, cultivators who could fly would generally release a stronger aura. Su Fong caught a faint trace of that aura and felt it was familiar. He carefully sensed it and found that it was a strange combination of true chi and monstrous chi. Could it be Li Haojie? What a coincidence! Other than Su Fong, perhaps only monstrous master Li Haojie could fuse true chi and monstrous chi. Thinking of that, he immediately brought Exalted Master Yuezhin out of the secret immortal cave. Chapter 420. Ascending Yuezhin returned to the profound yellow space. It should be Li Haojie. After confirming the direction, he used his full power to chase in the direction of the true art sacred sect. He passed through the desolate forest and the wasteland. It really is Li Haojie. Looking down from the clouds, he saw a white-robed youth flying across the wasteland. He was releasing his sensing energy as if he was searching for something. Li Haojie was a Yao master, so he had to be a Yao master. Brotherly, Su Fong called out to the white-clothed young man as he flew up into the air. The white-robed youth was startled, and he turned to reveal Li Haojie's youthful appearance. When he saw Su Fong, he was pleasantly surprised. Li Haojie cupped his fists. So it's Brother Su. What a coincidence to meet you here. You're a disciple of the immortal Sealing Gate. Before I came to Grand Yuan City, I thought I might run into you, but I didn't see you in Grand Yuan City. I didn't expect to see Brother Su in this wasteland. Su Fong flew over. I was also in seclusion in an underground region of this wasteland. When you flew past, I sensed a familiar aura, so I followed you. I didn't expect it to really be brotherly. Could it be that you're here to suppress a big goblin? This wasteland is between two powers. Although it's boundless, it doesn't have a big goblin. I'm following an injured big goblin. What kind of big goblin is it? It's a rat monster. Ever since we met a few years ago near Flying Immortal Island, I've been cultivating in that area. Not long ago, I encountered a powerful rat monster. After a few battles, I heavily injured it. I've been chasing it, and I ended up on the Crimson Firmament continent. Rat monster. More accurately, it's a sky drill rat. Sky drill rat. Could it be that Brother Sue also knows about the celestial drill rat? In the entire Zhuotian world, there's a gigantic beast called the celestial drill rat emperor. It seems like Brother Sue knows about him. I've heard that there aren't many sky drill rats. If the tree monster you're chasing isn't the sky drill rat emperor, then it must be a sky drill rat related to the sky drill rat emperor. If you can suppress it, will the sky drill rat emperor let you go? Su Fang's eyes were filled with shock. Li Haojia waved his hand. The celestial drill rat emperor might be powerful, but it won't be easy for it to find me. This rat knows I'm a demon hunter and almost killed me. I definitely won't let it off this time. Su Fang suddenly said, since I have nothing to do, I'll go with Brotherly to take a look. But I have to give you a piece of advice. With your current cultivation, it's best not to offend the celestial drill rat emperor. Even if you have a Tao artifact, it'll be difficult for you to suppress a giant demon that's almost as strong as an immortal. All right, with you here, I'll be even more confident. Your methods of catching demons aren't any worse than mine, Li Haojia happily agreed. Leading Su Fang, he used a special seal. A circular xianguang appeared between his hands. The xianguang constantly buzzed, and as Li Haojia sped up, the sound became louder and louder. Thank you for your reminder, Brother Su. But this rat monster wants to harm me, so I naturally can't let it go. Even if it really is related to the Sky Drill Rat Emperor, what can it do to me once I suppress it and hide? The closer they got to the forest, the more Li Haojia used his seal. After saying that, he led Su Fang even faster. The forest was a mountain range with a large number of canyons inside. The rat monster is in this mountain range. Brother Su, let's split up. If either of us notices something, we'll immediately warn the other. After entering the mountain range, they floated above a canyon. Li Haojia and Su Fang split up and flew in opposite directions. At the other end of the canyon, Su Fang glanced back. The sky drill rat should be the rat commander. If it really is, then I have to find a way to resolve my enmity with Li Haojia. After all, the rat commander saved me on Flying Immortal Island. Rat Commander Li Haojia had only been a few years. Who would have thought that this man and demon would end up fighting each other? Using his senses, Su Fang flew deeper, searching. He hoped to find the rat commander as soon as possible. At the very least, he wanted it to leave this meteorite. Rumble. Half an incense stick's worth of time passed, but Su Fang still hadn't appeared. But toward the right, a shock wave suddenly rose up. It looked like a huge gray mushroom. Could it be? He immediately flew toward the shock wave. So it really is Li Haojia. He found the rat commander. Thinking of how the rat commander was injured and how Li Haojia really killed it, Su Fang wouldn't be able to explain himself if he encountered Dao Wuyang in the future. After several breaths, Su Fang was just about to enter the center of the explosion to stop Li Haojia from attacking the rat commander when he was pleasantly surprised. Like a bolt of lightning, he arrived in midair. He saw two strands of demonic qi rising up from the ground. One of them was in the shape of a mouse, while the other was in the shape of a fox. Seeing the fox, Su Fang became even more excited. He once more flew into the air. Two strands of demonic flames were currently trapping an enchanted treasure, the xianguang. The xianguang was Li Haojia's. He had used it to protect himself, but there was a huge amount of demonic poison surrounding it, as well as a formation. Li Haojia had clearly fallen for a trap. An arrogant voice rang out. Aha! Watch how this Taoist handles this fellow. Rat Commander, I'll get revenge for you today. The other voice immediately replied, Dao Wuyang, don't be careless. This person is a demon hunter. He heavily injured me, and his strength is about the same as yours. Su Fang used his perfect realm to look. Of the two strands of demonic flames attacking Li Haojia, one was Rat Commander, and the other was Dao Wuyang. What a Dao Wuyang! I was just thinking that since Rat Commander appeared with you on Flying Immortal Island a few years ago, you should be nearby. I really didn't expect to see you here. It's been a few decades, but you're still the same. Dao Wuliang Su Fong had always wanted to find Dao Wuliang, but he hadn't had the chance. Fortunately, he had learned from Rat Commander that Dao Wuliang was also training near the Xinjia Gate. He had thought that he would run into him, but who would have thought that Prince Shui would appear out of nowhere? He hadn't expected to run into Dao Wuliang here. After calming down, he quickly sent a message. Ha! A yellow-robed man suddenly appeared from the foxfire attacking Li Haojia. His eyes shone with a strange yellow light. It was Dao Wuliang. When he saw Su Fong, he rubbed his eyes and laughed proudly. Boss, it's really you. Good boy. You made me look so hard for you. Su Fong quickly flew over and shouted, Old fox, let's not talk about this first. You and Rat Commander don't attack anymore. The demon hunter below is my friend. It's just a misunderstanding. Your friend, Rat Commander, transformed into a golden-robed youth. He was about 18 years old. He looked at Li Haojia with surprise and killing intent. Dao Wuliang seemed to have said something, and he and Rat Commander immediately absorbed the demonic poison into their bodies. Buzz. The defense of the Xian Guang disappeared around Li Haojia. He was in a sorry state. His left arm was corroded by the demonic poison, and he looked like he was in great pain. He fiercely glared at Dao Wuliang and Rat Commander. He immediately flashed to Su Fong's side and asked, Are they really your friends? In front of everyone, Su Fong said with certainty, Yes, I've known them for a long time. I also have some fate with them. In fact, just like you, we didn't know each other until we fought. But after we got to know each other, the demons are even more sincere than humans. Humans are selfish and can even kill their loved ones for their own benefits. Is that so? Li Haojia, who had his arms corroded by the demonic poison, still couldn't vent his anger. Here, Rat Commander threw over a demonic light. A pill floated above it. This is the antidote to the demonic poison. Take it, and you'll be able to expel the poison quickly. Li Haojia held it in his hand. He was still doubtful. Perhaps because Su Fong was present, he hesitated for a moment before releasing his control and swallowing the pill. If Su Fong wasn't present, he might not have believed Rat Commander so easily. Zzz. After a few breaths, the demonic poison corroding Li Haojia's arms began to emit blood-colored smoke. Soon, the demonic poison completely disappeared. Only now did Li Haojia relax a bit. He nodded at Su Fong. Brother Su, we'll meet again in the future. I'll be into Yuan City for now. Leaving behind another talisman, Li Haojia flew away. Dao Wuliang chuckled and patted Rat Commander's shoulder. In the end, he ended up killing his own people. This business deal is a loss. Rat Commander didn't care at all. How would I know? When I was on Flying Immortal Island, I saw that fellow suppressing the demons without any scruples. That was why I injured him. I didn't expect him to be so powerful. His cultivation isn't high, but his abilities are incredible. I was almost suppressed by him. The two demon geniuses arrived in front of Su Fong. Su Fong said, Rat Commander, I apologize on his behalf. If we had known each other earlier, this wouldn't have happened. What are you talking about? Perhaps this is what they mean by no discord, no concord. Rat Commander sighed. My boss, I heard you enter Xinjia Gate. Rat Commander and I also entered Xinjia Gate to look for you. But we were only in the outer space, and we weren't able to find you. Those people from Immortal Ceiling Gate are all talking about how you died there. I don't believe that with Boss's ability, you would die so easily. Dao Wuliang awkwardly walked closer. After searching for a while, we were worried that the Righteous Path's experts would surround and kill us. So we left Xinjia Gate first. Not long after, we encountered Rat Commander. He was heavily injured by that demon hunter and wanted me to help him. We wanted to return to Xinjia Gate and wait. But who would have thought that we would meet Boss here? Wait, Boss, if you had come out, I would have sensed you. It's a long story. Let's go to the valley up ahead and have a good chat. The three of them passed through the ruined valley and arrived at another mountain range. Under a dense forest, Dao Wuliang and Rat Commander both had shocked expressions. Dao Wuliang would occasionally wave his fists and shout about killing. After listening to Su Fong narrate most of what had happened in Xinjia Gate, Dao Wuliang muttered, "So that's how it is. Senior Green Feather King died, just like that." His luck was really bad. But as expected of the rock race, he acted openly and righteously. In the end, he even helped Boss, who said that demons forget righteousness in the face of profit. Rat Commander also vigorously hammered his fists. Su Fong was unwilling to accept this. "In any case, I have let Senior Peng King down. Wait until I'm strong enough. I'll go to Xinjia Gate again. I'll try my best to see if I can find Senior Peng King's corpse or his remains. I just can't feel at ease. Xinjia Gate is so mysterious, and we don't know how to leave. No wonder no one has been able to come out alive after so many years. Boss, now that your cultivation base has reached Undying Stage 9, you can at least contend against ordinary tribulation realms. We don't need to stay in a mortal sealing gate anymore. We still haven't found the Violet Chi Law Spirit. We still need to stay in a mortal sealing gate. Right? I heard that in 10 years, it's almost time for you to challenge Prince Shui. I originally wanted to go to Rat Commander's territory with you. That place is not bad. Also, Senior Sky Drill Rat Emperor heard me talk about your abilities. Before we come to Flying Immortal Island, I hope you can go to his place and help him out. There's such a thing." Chapter 421. Sky Drill Rat Emperor. This expert still had something he needed his help with. Anyone would be curious, and Su Fong was no exception. Shu Shui spoke. "Only my grandfather knows what it is. Dao Wuliang, and I've asked him many times, but he just won't tell us." Su Fong nodded decisively. "I agree. Let's go see Senior Sky Drill Rat Emperor first. If I can help, I'll do my best." Boss, you're so straightforward. You should also go to White Sand Island. It's located in the depths of the 4 great continents, among countless islands. Dao Wuliang quickly introduced to Su Fong. It turned out that White Sand Island was the Sky Drill Rat Emperor's territory. It was located outside the 4 great continents and should be a small island. Since they agreed, they immediately flew away from the Crimson Firmament continent. Before leaving, Su Fong secretly ordered the Supreme Demon King and Luan Mo to take good care of the underground cave. The size of the cave was different from before. If there were any accidents, the losses would be unimaginable. Su Fong carefully sensed Dao Wuliang's cultivation. This guy's speed was very shocking. He was now at the peak of the Yang Soul realm. When he used his true body, he should be at the Catastrophe realm. He also learned that after leaving the Celestial Sealing Sect, Dao Wuliang spent several months to come to White Sand Island. He cultivated in the Sky Drill Rat Emperor's territory and received a lot of care from him. From this, it wasn't hard to see that the Sky Drill Rat Emperor and Dao Zhan Fox Mother had a deep relationship. Otherwise, the Sky Drill Rat Emperor wouldn't take care of Dao Zhan Fox Mother. Su Fongda had heard of the Sky Drill Rat Emperor. He was a peerless big goblin whose name shook the entire Zhuotian domain. He was an existence that gave many righteous factions headaches. He was still somewhat cautious. After all, he didn't know much about the Sky Drill Rat Emperor. Fortunately, Shu Shui and Dao Wuliang were sworn brothers. More or less, the Sky Drill Rat Emperor wouldn't be his enemy on this trip to White Sand Island. After analyzing thoroughly, they left the Crimson Firmament continent and entered the vast waters. They each rode on their flying swords. With their strength, they could reach White Sand Island in less than half a month. Halfway to a larger island, Shu Shui brought the two to the Sky Drill Merchant Association opened by the Sky Drill Rat Emperor. They directly entered the portal and left the island. "Young master, welcome." The magical teleportation door used the power of shuttling to quickly pass through the ice-cold space. At this time, several experts guarding the door of wonder bowed to the Rat Marshal. They weren't greater demons, but rather humans with Tribulation Realm cultivation. Only then did Su Fong remember that the Sky Drill Rat Emperor had opened many chambers of commerce in the Zhuotian realm. Its influence in the Zhuotian realm was astonishing. and it was not inferior to a first-rate force. Shu Shuai was the grandson of the Sky Drill Rat Emperor, so the head of the Chamber of Commerce naturally treated him as the master. He personally left the Chamber of Commerce and escorted Shu Shuai back to White Sand Island. Su Feng secretly released his will. Dao Wuliang. This Shu Shuai fellow is very interesting. He was chased by the demon catcher Li Haojia, but he didn't seek help from the Chamber of Commerce, even though he was such a difficult opponent. Dao Wuliang was secretly proud of himself. He raised his strange eyebrows and said, "The monster race has its own cultivation method. Although I have the Fox Mother above me and the Sky Drill Rat Emperor above me, we all rely on ourselves to make our own way in the outside world and strengthen ourselves step by step. We are not as lazy and arrogant as the humans. For example, those young masters of the aristocratic families, the sons of the elders, which one of them is not arrogant and despotic. They rely on the purification of the strong and enjoy the resources to become strong." Truth hearing this, Su Feng was deeply moved. He sighed in his heart. Perhaps he didn't expect these words to come from Dao Wuliang. He couldn't help but think of Zhao Wuji. The princes and imperial grandsons of the Zhao family, such as the 8th prince, Zhao Qingjing, all relied on Zhao Wuji to rule the world and enjoy resources. Then he thought of the Broken Sword sect. Qing Rulong was killed by the Qing family's experts. How many people in the Celestial Sealing sect had joined the 3 major factions? How many disciples had died in Su Feng's hands? Not all of them relied on a backer to establish themselves in the Celestial Sealing sect. Formation, protection, backer. How many humans relied on their own cultivation to establish themselves in the cultivation world? Among the people Su Feng knew, such people were rare. The one who left the deepest impression on him was the demon catcher Li Haojia. Dao Wuliang saw that Su Feng suddenly became silent. "Boss, what are you standing there for? We'll reach the White Sand Island soon." Su Feng shook his head. "I just suddenly had some enlightenment. I can't describe it. Imperceptibly, I feel a lot less shackles on me. I feel very free." Hee. Only humans can have such enlightenment. We demons only cultivate our hearts and kill. How can we be as scheming as humans? After Dao Wuliang finished speaking, the speed of the shuttle suddenly changed. After a while, the barrier disappeared. They were in a natural cave. "Greetings, young master." A large number of demons, most of them in human form. There were more than 20 of them, all Yang Soul Realm. They all came to welcome Shu Shuai. Shu Shuai stood with his hands behind his back. At this moment, he looked like a master. "Take care of the brothers of the Chamber of Commerce. Young master." Su Feng tried to sense the aura of the Sky Drill Rat Emperor, but he could not sense any demonic aura. It was strange that there was no demonic aura in the territory of a greater demon. After landing, they saw a silver palace. It was similar to the color of Su Feng's palace, but silver color was more natural. Stepping into the palace was like stepping into a small cottage in the countryside. It was not that the palace was not luxurious enough, but that within the luxurious palace, there was an aura of returning to simplicity. Grandfather's not here. The main hall was empty. There was not a single person. Shu Shuai thought for a moment and brought the 2 of them into the side hall. After passing through the side hall, they just happened to see a white-robed person. He was bowing as if he was trying to get rid of something. There's still no demonic aura. He's the Sky Drill Rat Emperor. Su Feng began to use his perfect realm ability. He and Dao Wuliang followed Shu Shuai and saw the white-robed person was using a carving knife to carve a 3-foot-long brownish planet. Looking closer, the planets on the planet combined to form a giant rat that was standing up and staring at the sky. Although he didn't know why the Sky Drill Rat Emperor was carving a planet, Su Feng could sense a domineering aura coming from the planet. Dao Wuliang suddenly smiled mischievously at the white-robed person. "Old man, we're here." "I know." The white-robed person slowly stood up. When he turned around, he revealed an appearance of only 27 years old. His face was extremely thin and slender, as if it had also been carved with a carving knife. This was the Sky Drill Rat Emperor, whose name shook the entire Jua Heaven realm. He was too young. That was normal. He had thought that it was an old man in his 80s with an imposing aura. Not only was the Sky Drill Rat Emperor young, but his face was also like jade. His eyes shone with starlight. Although he didn't have any demonic aura, he was clearly an extraordinary person. Su Fong immediately took a step forward. Junior Su Fong greets Senior. The Sky Drill Rat Emperor naturally looked over. You really are the human Junior, Little Huang spoke of. You really are extraordinary. You have a perfect physical body. I really didn't expect there to be such a cultivator amongst the humans. Furthermore, your physical body also has the aura of the Wu-Tan world. You don't seem to be a human from the Awa Heaven realm. Junior was cultivating in the Wu-Tan world and just happened to merge with some spirit treasures. Senior's eyesight is amazing. Su Fong was filled with admiration. You don't need to be so reserved. Look at me. I don't look like someone who has lived for 10,000 years. Speaking of which, where is that little fellow Green Feather King? Tell him to come out and get some fresh air. When the Sky Drill Rat Emperor mentioned Green Feather King, he was filled with anticipation. Grandpa, Senior Green Feather King, is no longer here. This is what happened. Shu Shuai walked over and told Su Fong about what had happened to Green Feather King in the Xinjia Gate, as well as how Green Feather King had died. Is that so? Only now did the Sky Drill Rat Emperor reveal his lofty and ancient aura. Sitting down, he sighed. Although the Peng King and I were enemies, we weren't mortal enemies. Furthermore, we were demons from the same era. We fought against each other countless times until he was suppressed by the immortal Sealing Gate. It wasn't easy to hear that he managed to escape. I thought I'd be able to talk to him again in this life. Who would have thought the heavenly Daos would be so heartless? Shu Shuai, Dao Wuyang, and Su Fong stood to the side, remaining silent. They had no way of guessing what the old man was thinking. After a long time, the Sky Drill Rat Emperor stood up. Perhaps it's time for me to leave. Shu Shuai hastily asked, Grandpa, are you going to ascend? I originally wanted to see the Peng King and then leave the minor world, but that wish can no longer be realized. Once Grandpa has prepared for a while, I'll enter the great world and continue pursuing the immortal demon Dao. Ascending to the great world? Inadvertently, Su Fong's heart was in turmoil. So this peerless, big goblin in front of him had already reached the level of ascending to the great world. And it seemed that he could ascend to the great world at any time. Whether it was demons or humans, the immortal demon Dao was already in the palm of the Sky Drill Rat Emperor's hand. Chapter 422. This was the same as the Lord of Five Poisons, a peerless powerhouse at the peak of the cultivation world. A big goblin at the level of ascension. Dao Wuyang suddenly rushed to the side of the Sky Drill Rat Emperor. Old man, I've told boss about the matter you mentioned, and he said it's not a problem. Su Fong immediately bowed. If I can do my best, I'll definitely help you solve your problem. The Sky Drill Rat Emperor suddenly knocked on Dao Wuyang's head, causing him to immediately restrain his arrogance. This matter is actually to obtain a treasure called the spiritual embryo milk. Spiritual embryo milk to Su Fong. Although this was an extremely strange treasure, it was not difficult to imagine how important the spiritual embryo milk was. Even the Sky Drill Rat Emperor wanted to obtain it. It seemed that he could not obtain it. The spiritual embryo milk is a spiritual treasure in the depths of the water world. It is formed from a large number of stalactites for 100,000 years or even hundreds of thousands of years. Because in the depths of the water world, only the overlords of the water world can obtain it. Humans can't obtain it, and most of the demon clan can't obtain it either. The Sky Drill Rat Emperor carefully explained in front of Su Fong. This is a kind of natural treasure that can assist the demon clan in their cultivation, strengthen their yang soul, cultivate their primordial spirit, and spiritual pearls. It can only be found by chance. This is also the first time I know that there is such a treasure in the Zhuotian world. I've never seen it in my life. Dao Wuyong looked over at Su Fong. Eldest brother, he said. According to the records of the demon folk, nascent embryo spirit elixir is a precious cultivation treasure. If we can get it, Rat Marshall and I will be able to break through to the next level within 1,000 years. And Bai Ling will be able to do the same. Okay, if I can get it, I'll definitely do it. In front of the three, Su Fong decisively agreed. I'm a person who is about to ascend, and I don't have any attachment to the small world. What business, what territory? Once I become a demon immortal, they will all be gone. But I can't let go of my grandson. Moreover, Daojian Fox Mother also praised you greatly, so I can only leave this matter to you. The Sky Drill Rat Emperor gestured for Su Fong to sit down. Just north of White Sand Island, deeper into the boundless water world, there is a nameless water world. There are also some broken continents, but they are not the human world. His spiritual embryo milk is inside the Big Goblin King. The Big Goblin and the two Big Goblins are the Big Goblin King. And the two Big Goblins are Big Goblin Dragon King is Goblin King Dragon King. Dragon King of spiritual embryo spirits. Big Goblin Goblin Dragon King is big. Of the is. Dragon King's strength is the same as Senior's. Su Fong broke out in cold sweat. Dragon King's strength is the same as Senior's. Their strength is about the same. Although I'm familiar with the water, I can't move freely in the depths of the water world. Moreover, if I fight with Dragon King, the two Big Goblin Kings will take the opportunity to deal with me. I can deal with any one of them, or even defeat them. But if three Big Goblin Kings work together, I'm definitely not their match. Moreover, one of the Big Goblin has a grudge with me. I can't step in there. Isn't the spiritual embryo milk the Dragon King's treasure? Junior can't do anything about it. Since I'm asking for your help, there must be a chance of success, and it's very high. You're smart and calm. You're able to analyze the main point quickly. But contrary to what you think, Dragon King doesn't know that the spiritual embryo milk is under his dojo. It's hard to explain. It's his territory. He doesn't know. Perhaps you have seen underground magma or some underground space, but those are not the real core of the earth. Beneath the Dragon Star King's territory is the place closest to the core of the earth. The temperature of the magma there can instantly melt a top-grade magical item. The magma's power is limitless. Even a catastrophe realm expert would be incinerated by the magma before long. That place can only be entered by peerless experts with fire elemental divine abilities or fire elemental supreme treasures. From there, they can find the nascent embryo spiritual elixir. The Dragon Star King's territory is the place closest to the Earth's core. The temperature of the magma there can instantly melt a top-grade magical item. The magma's power is endless. Even a catastrophe realm expert would be incinerated by the magma before long. That place can only be entered by peerless experts with fire elemental divine abilities or fire elemental supreme treasures. Under Su Fong's curious and surprised gaze, the Heavenly Drill Rat King gave a detailed introduction. Finally, it said, I heard from Little Yellow that you have a peerless magic treasure that's not afraid of fire. Your ability is amazing, and you can even suppress the monsters of our demon race. I thought about it and wanted to give up, but I still want to try. I want to see if you're interested in going to the forbidden underwater area. When Old Antique suddenly spoke, Su Fong glanced at Dao Wuyong. Dao Wuyong shrank back, pale with fright. He could only shrug his shoulders. From the looks of it, this old fox had sold him all to the Sky Drill Rat Emperor. He would honestly tell the other party everything. Su Fong was angry and hateful towards Dao Wuyong. Without the slightest hesitation, he looked at the Sky Drill Rat Emperor and said respectfully, Senior, Dao Wuyong, and I have been to the underground world of lava. The temperature was shocking and could burn any undying indestructible cultivator to death. The magma in the depths of the earth must be just as terrifying, as you said. However, Senior, I do have a magical item that is at the peak of the royal grade. It contains fire-type power and is very close to a Dao item. You're really interesting, human. Not at all. Close? You may bow. Plant evil squinting votes, desolate concubine, hastily Xing, Lei Jing, dare to participate, despondent Zhizheng, fawning on Min Lishi, iridium bed, falcon vinegar planting bean cow, was he dead? Misna? At this moment, the heavenly drill rat king was full of praise for Su Fong, as if he had found a treasure. Junior actually has his own views on the demon race. Later, as my knowledge increased, I realized that in the cultivation world, both humans and demons live for the sake of strength and survival. Humans and demons are natural creatures and have the right to enjoy nature. Naturally, they don't belong to the demon race, nor do they belong to the human race. Secondly, Senior Green Feather King has shown me a sense of righteousness. If Rock King hadn't pledged his life to help me at Xinjia Gate, I'm afraid I would still be imprisoned there. Junior will agree to this matter because I'm in a hurry. In about 4 years, I have to rush back to Immortal Sealing Sect. I hope to get out of that nameless body of water as soon as possible. Su Fong immediately stood up to express his opinion. Grandson, calling Shu Shuai over, the heavenly drill rat king warned him, the world of water is very dangerous. After crossing the deep water, you'll reach the rocky region. It just so happens that we heavenly drill rats have the ability to burrow into the Earth's core. Grandson, listen to Su Fong's idea and work together to get that treasure. Once Grandpa goes to the outside world, he can rest assured that you can cultivate in the lower world. With your current strength, I don't think you're a match for Su Fong. If he uses his demon subduing technique, he'll be able to take you down in a few moments. Grandpa, don't worry. Shu Shuai patted his chest and promised. Su Fong, I accidentally learned about the origin embryo spirit milk. 1,000 years ago, I happened to pass by that uninhabited body of water. As a result, a big goblin from deep water recklessly launched a sneak attack on me. After I suppressed it, it revealed this shocking secret. Later, I tried my best to prove the truth of the secret. Someone dared to launch a sneak attack on the heavenly drill rat king. That big goblin didn't check the almanac before leaving. Su Fong almost laughed out loud. For years to obtain the origin embryo spirit milk. It can be said that it's not enough, but it can also be said that it's enough. It just depends on whether the journey is smooth sailing. After the heavenly drill rat king finished speaking, it waved its hand and grabbed. A demonic light appeared, and a boat floated inside. Which ship? Su Fong recognized it at a glance. Heavenly boat, a heavenly boat that could travel through the Milky Way. This is a heavenly boat that was prepared long ago for the search for the origin embryo spirit milk. It was specially customized and added a lot of underwater materials, so this heavenly boat can fly into the sky and enter the water, but it can't burrow into the ground. Take some time to fuse with it. Only then will I be at ease when we go to the water. The heavenly drill rat king handed the heavenly boat to Su Fong and let him fuse with it. Wasn't this indirectly giving the heavenly boat to Su Fong? At first, Su Fong hesitated. The heavenly boat's value was about the same as a good quality king-grade artifact, or even higher. The heavenly boat didn't have any offensive abilities, only defensive abilities. And the biggest advantage of the heavenly boat was that it could travel through the Milky Way. But what about most king-grade artifacts? Could they travel through the Milky Way at will? Even if they could they compare to the heavenly boat? Therefore, with this absolute advantage, the heavenly boat's value was even higher than most king Grey Dao artifacts. It was about the same as the Rakshasa Jade Vase. The heavenly drill rat king was very serious. If you don't accept it, then don't look for the treasure. I don't want to see any accidents happen to the three of you. Senior, thank you for such a big gift. Su Fong immediately took the heavenly boat and absorbed it into his body. Fuse with the heavenly boat, and you can go out. All right, I heard that you have a white crane with you. I have an artifact here. It's a pearl that can control the airflow. It's just right for a winged cultivator. Sister Bai. At the mention of Bai Ling, Su Fong summoned Bai Ling from the heaven and earth. Who knew that when Bai Ling saw the heavenly drill rat king, she was so scared that her face turned pale. She hurriedly hid behind Su Fong, not even daring to poke her head out. After a long explanation from Su Fong, they finally arrived in front of the Heavenly Drill Rat King. The Heavenly Drill Rat King had already taken out a pearl in its palm. It was a peak high-grade artifact. Your little crane's cultivation is still very far away. I'll help you cleanse your marrow and let you have the strength of a young, nascent soul as soon as possible. Why is there a shackled artifact on your neck? Senior, do you have a way to undo it? They didn't expect the Heavenly Drill Rat King to be able to see the extraordinariness of the Heavenly Neck Spirit Ring at a glance. I have to try this. What's going on? It's because I was careless. At that moment, he explained in detail how the Heavenly Neck Spirit Ring appeared, how he gave it to Bai Ling out of goodwill, and how he ended up harming Bai Ling instead. The few of them didn't make a sound. Bai Ling was very open-minded. This experience is unheard of. Since it's a treasure left behind by an expert, then I'll give it a try. The artifact itself isn't very powerful. It's only a high-grade artifact. The only thing that matters is how terrifying the power of this artifact is. He gestured for the few of them to move aside. The Heavenly Drill Rat King struck a powerful palm. A demonic light enveloped Bai Ling within. Ziz. A lightning-like sword chi condensed in the Heavenly Drill Rat King's palm. When it caught the sword chi, it used a demonic light to drag the Heavenly Neck Spirit Ring, and used a defense to protect Bai Ling's neck. Then, it directed the sword chi towards the Heavenly Neck Spirit Ring. It was very careful. Su Fong, Dao Wuyong, and the Rat King stared without blinking. They stopped breathing and stared at the sword chi, which kept approaching the Heavenly Neck Spirit Ring. Whoosh! Unexpectedly, when the sword chi was about to land on the Heavenly Neck Spirit Ring, Bai Ling's head suddenly buzzed, causing Bai Ling extreme pain. No! The Heavenly Drill Rat King retracted the sword chi and immediately injected a stream of dermic powers into Bai Ling's mind. It looked at Su Fong. This ring itself isn't shocking. It can be cut open, but its confinement power is something I can't control. Once the ring is broken, Little Crane's primordial spirit will also be wiped out. It's almost the same as what the Rock King said. After knowing the result, Su Fong was very disappointed. Bai Ling was too frightened. Su Fong led her to the side to rest. Dao Wuyong accompanied her. As for the Rat King, he temporarily left with the Heavenly Drill Rat King. Chapter 423. In an unknown part of the sky, a figure slowly rose into the air, strolling leisurely in the air, his long hair swaying in the wind. This direction is the Zhuotian world. It's still some distance away. It'll be hard to get there in a short time. The figure suddenly sneered. The Heavenly Neck Spirit Ring was refined by Li Xingxiu. It contains all kinds of immortal-level secret arts. How can a mortal world cultivator open it? You don't know the immensity of heaven and earth. Don't destroy the Heavenly Neck Spirit Ring. Otherwise, how can I find a successor for Li Xingxiu? The only way to be free is to take back the last ring. I've been shackled for too long. How many years has it been since I went to the Zhuotian world? But the world lord of that place is indeed powerful. Among the world lords of this small world, his strength is unfathomable. Otherwise, Li Xingxiu wouldn't have suffered so much in his hands. I hope this world lord isn't in the Zhuotian world. Otherwise, if he senses my aura, he'll definitely think of Li Xingxiu. At that time, I won't be able to defeat a world lord. The figure paused for a while, then disappeared like an afterimage. White Sand Island, within a palace of the island lord. Spiritual light filled the air, filled with demonic qi. Bai Ling's breathing slowly returned to normal. She grabbed Su Fong in shock. Little brother, it was so uncomfortable just now. A power almost exploded from the ring. It was like it wanted to throw me into the abyss. I thought Senior Heavenly Drill Rat Emperor could help you. I didn't expect this ring to be so powerful. Su Fong's heart ached. Grandpa's, Dao Wuyong wished he could destroy the Heavenly Neck Spirit Ring. But in front of such a peerless artifact, he couldn't do anything no matter how arrogant he was. Rest well. Soon, we'll find a solution. After comforting Bai Ling for a while, She calmed down and continued to cultivate. Not long after, the heavenly drill rat emperor appeared. It wanted to cleanse Bai Ling's marrow. Using this time, Su Fong went to another palace and began to fuse with the heavenly boat. Buzz! The moment the blood dripped into the heavenly boat, the 1-foot-long white heavenly boat began to flicker with a shocking aura. This was a treasure that was a king-grade artifact. The Yang Ying and Blood Qi entered the heavenly boat. First, a large number of formations came into view. Layer after layer, interlocking with each other, they formed a defensive barrier that shocked Su Fong. When he entered the heavenly ship's body, the heavenly ship looked like it was only a foot long. However, if he used spirit stones to activate it and injected energy into it, it would instantly become a giant ship that was 1,000 feet long. Before the Yang soul, the space of the heavenly boat was familiar. Su Fong had ridden the heavenly boat with Li Ziqing before, so he was not unfamiliar with it. There was a large hall in the heavenly ship, as well as dozens of rooms of various sizes. In the middle of the heavenly ark was the array control hall. It was made up of an altar and was similar to many of the formations and structures used to travel through the mystic door. At the center of the formation was a large furnace. What is the furnace used for? Of course, it was to provide energy for the heavenly Arkansas. The energy of the heavenly ship came from spiritual stones. In other words, spiritual stones had to be thrown into the furnace and burned before they could generate energy to power the countless formations on the heavenly ship. After familiarizing himself with the aura of the heavenly ship, he frowned and suddenly asked, "Exalted Master Yuezhen, how many spiritual stones do you need to activate such a heavenly ship?" Exalted Master Yuezhen stared at the furnace from the profound yellow space. Even if you activate it casually, it uses mid-grade spiritual stones as the foundation. If you travel through the small world, it will mostly be mid-grade spiritual stones. If you go to the Star River, it will be high-grade or peak-grade spiritual stones. From here to the Crimson Sky continent, you will get billions of mid-grade spiritual stones. And from the Crimson Sky continent to the Wutan world, you will need at least tens of billions of high-grade spiritual stones. The heavenly ship is simply a spiritual stone devouring machine. Master is right. I reckon that in the small world, no one has ever used the heavenly ship to drive it. Because once you activate the heavenly ship, you will need a large amount of spiritual stones. Even large factions cannot afford it. Only when you use it to travel through the Star River and collect large amounts of spiritual stones or magic treasures can you activate the heavenly ship for a long period of time. I have traveled through many small worlds, but I have rarely seen anyone activate the heavenly ship in the Star River. However, in the distant Star River, I have heard that there is a cultivator who frequently activates the heavenly ship. If that's the case, then with the spiritual stones we get from selling the immortality strengthening pill, we can only go to the Wutan world once. The immortality strengthening pill will be sold everywhere in the future. Master doesn't need to worry about that. That's true. However, the best way to activate the heavenly ship is with a spirit vein. A spirit vein is difficult to obtain. I don't even dare think about it. Shaking his head, he took out quite a few spiritual stones and tossed them into the cauldron. Then he formed hand seals to activate the formation. When Su Fong flew up, the heavenly ship began to change. In just a few breaths' time, it had grown to the size of the palace. Su Fong's true body entered the heavenly ship. The interior was incomparably luxurious. Furthermore, the sight of the heavenly ship was different from the sight of the Yang Ying. Su Fong clicked his tongue in wonder. It could hold thousands of people. As long as there were enough spiritual stones, even if they didn't encounter an interstellar storm or natural energy, humans could use the heavenly ship to travel through the Star River. This was the crystallization of human wisdom. Exalted Yuezhen chuckled. Master, the heavenly ship is also a spatial storage space. It can also be used for cultivation. It can also be used as a mobile immortal cave. It was indeed a peerless treasure. With such a heavenly ship, if one had enough spiritual stones, they could definitely travel through the world. They continued to fuse countless formations. It took them a dozen days. Soon, the heavenly ship grew to about a foot in size. Dao Wuyong, Shu Shuai, and Bai Ling gathered around the heavenly drill rat emperor and arrived at the palace. Su Fang stared at Bai Ling. The two of them met. Amazing. Sister Bai has undergone marrow cleansing. Her strength has reached the peak of the imperishable realm. Amazing. What shocking methods. Bai Ling was also very happy. Compared to when she was in Tianmen province, the difference in strength was like heaven and earth. It had only been a few decades. The heavenly drill rat emperor was so powerful. Naturally, it could also raise Bai Ling's strength. However, it was only marrow cleansing. There was a reason for that. Looking at Shu Shuai, he understood. Shu Shuai was his grandson, but he was only at the Yang realm. Unusual. The heavenly drill rat emperor could raise him to the catastrophe realm and become a peerless big goblin. It seemed that the heavenly drill rat emperor's thoughts were the same as those old antiques. He could only be a guide in the direction of cultivation. He couldn't forcibly inject wisdom and refinement into Shu Shuai's body through marrow, cleansing, and enlightenment. Since you fused with the heavenly ship, you can leave now. If you encounter King Long Chun, you have to use your own wisdom and advantages to deal with him and overcome difficulties. The Earth core stalactite space definitely has more treasures than just the origin embryo spiritual elixir. It will depend on your own confidence and courage. The heavenly drill rat emperor looked at them. All the big shots who can ascend to the small world have encountered all kinds of dangers in their lives to achieve the great Tao. Yes, they bowed together. After the heavenly drill rat emperor sent them off, the four of them flew away from the peak of the island. As they flew, the clouds disappeared layer by layer like silk being peeled out of cocoon. First, Bai Ling, who was as white as snow, flew over from the clouds happily. Su Fang, Dao Wuyong, and Shu Shuai followed. They gradually left the islands. These islands were all part of White Sand Island. To the north was a vast body of water. Along the way, they could still see scattered islands. Most of the auras they sensed were demonic auras, but there were also auras of other people. Although this was the deep waters of the Zhuotian world and was a desolate place, there were still some powerful people who cultivated in this place. Shu Shuai was very familiar with these waters. Furthermore, the heavenly drill rat emperor was also a deep swimmer. Although it couldn't compare to the water monsters, it was still much stronger than Dao Wuyong. The nameless waters aren't too far from White Sand Island. There are two big goblin monsters on the ground. They have been the overlords of that area for many years. They are very powerful and have many subordinates. Once we reach the edge of the waters, we have to be careful. Over there, they won't even give us face, explained Shu Shuai. About a few days later, they really entered the limitless waters. It had been a long time since they had seen an island. By the time they saw a fist-sized island in the distance, they had already reached the edge of the nameless waters. Heavenly ship. After some discussion, everyone felt that it would be more convenient to move underwater. With a thought from Su Fang, a ray of light flew out. The heavenly ship landed on the surface of the water, and it immediately expanded to 300 meters. Once inside, he activated a barrier and threw in a large amount of spirit stones. The heavenly ship immediately sank into the water. It then shrunk until it was about 10 times the size of the ship. However, the heavenly ship was very strange. Even though it had shrunk in size, the space inside still hadn't changed. Dao Wuyong quickly found a big goblin. The water-type big goblin was a huge black crab. This kind of crab was very powerful and had a tough body. However, its intelligence was about the same as the Leech King. It just so happened that Su Fang needed a junior commander. After carefully sensing it, he found that the crab's strength had already reached the Yang Soul realm. He could suppress it and make it a junior commander. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Little did they know that it wasn't just Su Fang who was thinking about the crab. Suddenly, a wave of water came from the darkness of the deep waters. Two conch-shaped water monsters were like mountains. They pushed the wave of water and suddenly attacked the crab. The rat commander came back to his senses. Through the array formation, he saw everything below. They're fighting for food and killing each other. Without a large number of humans, they will kill each other. These big goblins are powerful, but they are all low-level existences. Since that was the case, Sufang also gave up on suppressing the crab. It was better not to make any movements and attract more monsters in the nameless waters. The heavenly ship's color gradually turned dark green. In the underwater world, it was almost invisible to the naked eye. The heavenly ship's magical use surprised Sufang and Dao Wuliang. Only the rat commander remained calm. Another half a day later, a huge underwater rock appeared. They had entered the nameless waters. There should be an island on top of this huge rock. However, they weren't interested in the island on the surface or the fragments of the continent. They continued to move forward. If human cultivators wanted to survive in the underwater world, they needed the help of an artifact like the water-steadying talisman. Only then could they survive in the underwater world. The heavenly ship gradually approached the underwater world. Its color also turned dark blue. When it reached a depth of 10,000 meters, they could see some water vines growing along the island. Not only were they long, but they also had a demonic aura. It was a pity that if these water vines continued to grow, they would be terrifying. However, there were some insect-like demonic beasts that didn't have a shocking demonic aura, but they ate the water vines as food. Among the water vines, they could even see a soft-bodied conch that was devouring the water vines. The deeper they went, the more terrifying the water monsters were. They didn't have high intelligence, but their strength exceeded the Yang Soul realm and even reached the catastrophe realm. For example, there were some jellyfish that didn't look shocking. However, when they spat out poison, they could kill powerful Yang Soul realm water monsters. There were also some giant mussels that didn't move through the mud. Instead, they dug holes in the rocks and attached themselves to the bottom of the island. If one didn't pay attention, they would be part of the rocks. When water monsters passed by, they would be ambushed by them. Fortunately, the heavenly ship could change its color. In addition, it didn't have any life. Otherwise, there would definitely be some monsters that could discover the heavenly ship. Everyone was staring at the deeper waters. The rat commander's expression gradually tightened. There are still 10,000 meters before we reach the Dragon Star King's territory. This Dragon Star King is very powerful. Indeed, they also saw a layer of green substance floating in the water. The area was also very wide, with layers connected to each other. The two of them did not know what material it was. It was probably because this was the deep water world, and they had no knowledge of the water world. The heavenly boat continued to travel and gradually came to the water moss layer. The heavenly boat slowed down even more and began to come into contact with the water moss layer. At this moment, nothing out of the ordinary happened. The heavenly boat tore through the layer of water moss. Not to mention that the layer of water moss was rather tough. The heavenly boat only managed to tear through one layer after a few breaths. There were even more layers of moss below. The heavenly boat tore open a few more layers. Something is wrong. Controlling the heavenly ark, Zhang Xian noticed that there were quite a number of spirit stones burning in the furnace. It was the same as before, but the heavenly ark was moving slower and slower. It was too abnormal. I have to release my young infant to take a look. I don't know what's causing the heavenly boat to become slower and slower. Sufang communicated with Xu Shuai and Dao Wuliang. I'm also worried about you going out alone. Let me release my young infant to go out with you. Xu Shuai nodded. Sufang was naturally willing. He immediately released his young infant. It was only 1 meter long. With a whoosh, it passed through the heavenly boat's barrier and immediately entered the deep water world. Ice cold. Although it was just a young infant, it could still sense things. In the deep water world, the first thing it felt was a bone-piercing cold. It was a power that could even freeze a young infant. Before it could even get used to the cold, Xu Shuai let out a gasp. Sufang looked at the heavenly boat. The layer of water moss that had been torn apart was actually sticking to the surface of the heavenly boat. At first glance, he didn't see anything out of the ordinary. But upon closer inspection, the layer of water moss that stuck to the surface of the heavenly boat was actually wriggling. Furthermore, it was emitting a strange poisonous liquid. It was beginning to form a layer of green poisonous liquid that continuously enveloped the heavenly boat. It could even be heard that the poisonous liquid was corroding the heavenly boat's power. So this layer of water moss really wasn't simple. Shu Shuai said, demonic chi. There's demonic chi in this water moss. It looks like it's a life form from the deep water world. It contains demonic chi as well as poisonous liquid. If this continues, the heavenly boat will be completely wrapped up and trapped here. There are all sorts of strange things in the deep water world. This seemingly ordinary substance also has demonic chi and has its own consciousness. If a human cultivator came here and didn't pay attention, they would only end up dying. Su Fang thought for a moment and had an idea. There's a lot of water moss in front of us. With the heavenly boat size, we won't be able to go around it. We should use other methods to advance. If we don't use the heavenly boat and just rely on ourselves to fly through the deep water world, it won't be long before we enter the Dragon Sun King's territory and will be discovered. It's fine. I have a way to solve this problem. The young infant transmitted its thoughts. The heavenly boat's size continued to shrink. A black water demon swam out of the heavenly boat. Shu Shuai was shocked. That's a leech, a powerful water demon in the deep water world. Don't worry. This is a commander that I've suppressed. It's working for me. After Su Fang's explanation, the Leech King swam over without any restraints. The Leech King opened its mouth. Su Fang, Shu Shuai's main body, Dao Wuyang, and Bai Ling were all inside. The young infant instantly returned and sucked Bai Ling into the profound yellow space to prevent any accidents from happening. It also couldn't take care of Bai Ling. At this time, they didn't feel any water shackles in the Leech King's body. However, the cold chi seemed to have entered their bodies through the Leech King. Su Fang said, Leech King, look at those strange things outside the heavenly boat. The Leech King quickly turned around and stared at the heavenly boat. After a while, he said, those are snake fungi. Snake fungi. The three of them were startled. They had never heard of it before. Snake fungi are the feces, saliva, and other substances that are excreted from deep water snake demons' bodies when they cultivate and live. They gradually eat away at the creatures in the deep water and gradually form life forms. If I live here for a long time, I will also form these water fungi. Normally, water fungi only exist in the deep water world. Only powerful water demons would leave behind these water fungi. They also possess a certain amount of the snake demon's abilities. Master, don't look down on these water fungi. They have a strong vitality and specialize in hunting water demons in the deep water world. Look at how powerful these snake fungi are. Even human catastrophe realm cultivators would be trapped and devoured alive. Not even their bones would be left behind. So powerful. With so many snake fungi, this place has already become a snake fungi water region. It seems that the area is very large. Perhaps the deep water world is filled with them. Can you move through this snake fungi water region? No problem, Master. I am the Leech King. Leeches are born to live in any water region. Moreover, everything has its weakness. The poison on my body can also corrode the snake fungi. They can't do anything to me. However, there are too many of them. If I am trapped, I will also be surrounded by them and eventually die. All right, you have to be careful. If it doesn't work, I will get the other water region commanders to help. After Su Fang gave the order, the Leech King's body grew to 3 zhang in size. It opened its mouth, and a Xian Guang hit the heavenly ship. The heavenly ship and the snake fungi were sucked into its stomach. Naturally, it entered Su Fang's body. The Leech King swung its tail and passed through the remaining snake fungi. It passed through the water region in front of it. Just as it said, the water regions of Deepwater City were filled with floating snake fungi. It was truly terrifying. The snake fungi water region, formed by the snake fungi, could probably stop any water demon or human cultivator. It was also the defensive power of the Dragon God King. It could be seen that this was indeed a forbidden area, in a profound yellow space. The heavenly ship was floating in the space. Su Fong, Dao Wuliang, and Shu Shuai's yang souls were staring at the heavenly ship. After entering the profound yellow space, the large amount of snake fungi coiling around the heavenly ship felt a dangerous aura and stopped spewing out their poison. The three yang souls took a closer look. The surface of the heavenly ship had lost some of its luster, and some poison patterns were left behind. Dao Wuliang's yang soul trembled slightly. Damn it, if the heavenly ship is trapped here, it will also be destroyed by the snake fungi after many years. Let's kill it. If I don't kill it to vent my anger, I will feel suffocated. Facing the large amount of snake fungi, Dao Wuliang sharpened his knife to kill pigs and sheep. Green Fiend, True Fire. Su Fong's yang soul spewed out a flame. It was the immortal sealing sex Great Abijna, Green Fiend, True Fire. ZZZ, Easy the Flame, surrounded the heavenly ship. It could be seen that Su Fong's current strength had reached a shocking level of mastery over the Green Fiend True Fire. That was why he could burn a large area and surround the heavenly ship. Pad snake fungi layer exploded. Although it was not shocking, a large amount of poison splattered everywhere after each explosion. The Green Fiend True Fire incinerated the snake fungi. Not long after, the heavenly ship was completely restored without any damage. In such a short period of time, the heavenly ship would not be destroyed by the snake fungi. Master, there is a living water demon ahead. It is trapped in the snake fungi layer. Suddenly, the Leech King spoke. The three yang souls returned to their original bodies. The Leech King opened his mouth slightly and looked ahead through the gap. Indeed, they could see a swaying black shadow. The black shadow was surrounded by the snake fungi layer that was tens of thousands of meters long. It was indeed terrifying. With such a large area of snake fungi, even the big goblin would not be able to escape. Let's go take a look. Su Fong ordered the Leech King. In less than half an hour, they arrived above the snake fungi layer. Within the snake fungi layer, there was indeed a water demon. It was a giant shuttle. It was a full 10 zhang long. But what made the three of them feel strange was that the water demon was chained up. It did not seem to have accidentally fallen into the snake fungi layer, but, King, I was wrong. Please spare me. The water demon struggled in the middle. But the more it struggled, the tighter the snake fungi got. King, with his perfect hearing, Su Fong heard something. His mind was spinning quickly. He immediately told the Leech King, "Save this water demon and restrain it immediately. Don't let it escape." "Yes, master." The Leech King immediately acted. He did not think about why. A poisonous gas shot out, turning into a whip-like poisonous gas. When it touched the snake fungi layer, it killed a large amount of them. Sure enough, there was always something to subdue it. Shu Shuai did not understand. Why save a water demon? Dao Wuliang patted his shoulder. Boss has his ways. From what I see, this water demon should be Dragon Sun King's subordinate. Boss wants to save it, but in reality, he wants to capture it and learn the secrets of this water domain from it. As expected of Dao Wuliang, ever since he had followed Su Fong from the state of Zhao, he had experienced many dangers. He already knew what kind of person Su Fong was. The things he did usually made him understand Su Fong's intentions. Amazing, what a good method. Shu Shuai was full of praise. It was as if he had just met Su Fong. This water domain is very complicated. It is a forbidden area. We can only understand this place through the water demons here. I already had this idea before, but who would have thought that we would run into a water demon? Chapter 425. After Su Fong finished speaking, he and the other two watched what was happening in front of them. The poisonous gas from the Leech King's mouth had already corroded layer by layer. When it reached the center of the big goblin, the poisonous gas turned into countless strands of poisonous gas that wrapped around the Yao shuttle like a net. The Leech King slyly shouted, "Don't be afraid. I'm here to save you." Thank you. Hurry up and save me from this damn snake fungus." When the Yao shuttle heard that it was here to save him, He no longer resisted the poisonous gas and left with it. Su Fang had already prepared the Xianwang Six Paths Pagoda. Seeing the Yao shuttle leave the snake fungus layer, the Leech King increased the poisonous gas. Whoosh! The Yao shuttle finally left the snake fungus layer. But before he could be happy, the Leech King suddenly pounced over, and a pagoda shadow struck the Yao shuttle. It swallowed him into the pagoda. Where's this? Let me out! Let me out! Within the Xianhuang space, the Yao shuttle, whose poisonous gas had yet to dissipate, suddenly found himself in a strange place without any water. He struggled in panic and shouted. The shackles of the Xianhuang space caused the Yao shuttle to be unable to move. He gradually became obedient. Whoosh! 3 young souls flew over. Su Fang shouted, "This is my territory. If you don't behave, I'll kill you. If I can save you, I can also kill you." When the human Yao shuttle saw the 3 young souls, he trembled in fear. As the young souls floated over, Su Fang asked, "Are you the Dragon Star King's subordinate?" "Yes, I am," said the Yao shuttle honestly. "Since you're his subordinate, why would he want to kill you?" A while ago, the Dragon Star King's demon pool held a banquet and invited experts from all over the region. During the banquet, I accidentally broke a wine cup and spilled wine on a human slave playing with a net. The net was furious and ordered me to be punished on the spot. I was thrown into this region of death and allowed to be devoured by the snake fungus. It seems you're nothing in your king's eyes. You're an object. When he uses you, he treats you as one of his own. When he doesn't use you, he throws you away like trash. Oomph. The Yao shuttle spat out a bloody tongue, his eyes filled with hatred. Looking at his body again, there was poisonous blood everywhere. His entire body was festering, and the stench was overwhelming. Su Fang continued, "You still want to go back and follow this kind of master? Humph. I'd rather go up and pay my respects to those 2 kings. Then I'll tell them about King Longchun. Naturally, I'll get a good job." Yao Shua's eyes shone with a vicious light. "But don't forget that you're in my hands right now. I'm the one who decides whether you live or die. If you're obedient, I won't kill you. What do you want to know? Dragon King, what is this water region?" "There's a stalactite underground world in the depths. That's simple. Everyone knows that it's right below the Dragon Sun Demon Pool. It's also deep within this body of water. That's the Dragon Sun King's Dao right grounds. If you take a single step there, you'll be chased down by countless demon soldiers. Do you know how to enter the underground world of the stalagmite?" "That's not true. I heard that when the Dragon Sun King came here to build a city, he started to build a dojo above the core of the stalactite. The entrance is sealed, unless you destroy the Dragon Sun Demon Pool." Yao Shua shook his head. "Then why don't you bring us to the Dragon Sun Demon Pool?" Dao Wuyong suddenly laughed. "I'm not begging you. You have to understand that if you don't have a reason, I'll kill you and barbecue you." Yao Shua's young nascent soul said, "You're also a demon." "Of course I'm a demon, but I won't treat you as one of us. Answer me properly." Dao Wuyong licked his nose. "Of course I can bring you to the Dragon Sun Demon Pool, but I'm no longer a member of the pool. If I go there, I'll be killed on the spot. It's fine. Just stay here and point us in the right direction." Their young nascent souls immediately left Xuanhuang space. The pressure on Yao Shua's body lessened, allowing him to sit down and recover. Once their young nascent souls returned, the 3 of them began to discuss. Shu Shua said, "We can go to the Dragon Sun Demon Pool. Then I'll use my innate divine ability to burrow through the ground near the city. That way, we'll be able to reach the core of the origin embryo spirit elixir." "Let's do that. As long as we reach the Dragon Sun Demon Pool, we can burrow through the ground." Dao Wuyong also agreed. "All right, Leech King, follow the directions I've given you. Proceed carefully. Once you reach the demon pool, you have to be extremely careful." Su Fang ordered the Leech King to increase his speed. He dodged layer after layer of snake fungus and continued to descend. Within Xuanwang's space, the young nascent soul flew over. Su Fang coldly stared at Yao Shua. "The Dragon Sun Demon King's territory is forbidden to humans. I heard it's also forbidden to demons. How could there be human women here? Those are female slaves. The Dragon Sun Demon King sent his subordinates to cross the nameless waters and spend a large amount of money to buy them in human territory. Those female slaves are all priceless treasures for the Dragon Sun Demon King to play with. They're even used to devour human blood to cultivate. Is that so? That's nothing. I heard that the two kings above even went to the human world to buy human babies for cultivation. Using humans to cultivate is the best way for demons to increase their strength. Have you heard of Origin Embryo Spirit Elixir? Origin Embryo Spirit Elixir? When Su Fong asked this question, Yao Shuo began to think. After a while, he replied, I think I've heard of it, but I'm not sure. Rumor has it that in the depths of the Earth's core, there's Origin Embryo Spirit Elixir. But no one has confirmed it. The Dragon Sun Demon King doesn't know about it. The king knows about it too. But the depths of the Earth's core isn't a water world, but a raging inferno. The king is a water-type demon and is unable to go there. As for the big goblin in the 800-mile water world, they're all water-type demons and are unable to go there. That's why they all treat it as a legend. Do you want to obtain that treasure? Of course. Otherwise, why do you think I came all the way here? Then I advise you not to go. Any life form that approaches the depths of the Earth's core will be incinerated. Otherwise, the two kings above the water world and the Dragon Sun Demon King would have already obtained the treasure. You don't have to worry about that. Once we obtain the treasure and leave this water world, we'll let you live. For the time being, you just have to obediently work for me. The two big goblins by my side are no joke. They're existences that can even kill demons of the same race. Tell me about the Dragon Sun Demon King. How strong is it? Yao Shuo raised a finger. One word, strong. Nonsense. Su Fong asked again, what abilities does it have? The Dragon Sun Demon King is invincible in the water world. Its speed is the fastest, and it can control the water within 10 miles. It can also spit out terrifying poison. Although it doesn't have any magical treasures, the bone spikes on its back are its magical treasures. Its hardness is the same as a king-grade magical treasure. When it fought the two kings above, it used its bone spikes to fight against magical treasures. Doesn't it have any weaknesses? It does. It's afraid of high temperatures. Also, its overall strength is less than half of the water world's. But in the water world, it's invincible. Many big goblin tried to invade its territory, but they couldn't even withstand 3 moves from the Dragon Sun Demon King. They were all swallowed alive. The poison in its body can melt rocks and even high-grade magical treasures. How strong do you think it is? Yao Shuo's eyes were filled with awe and fear. He knew that the Dragon Sun Demon King was strong, but he didn't expect it to be this strong. It seems that in this nameless water world, even the Sky Drill Rat Emperor might not be able to take down the Dragon Sun Demon King. Origin Embryo Spiritual Milk. Even the Sky Drill Rat Emperor couldn't do anything about this treasure. The main reason was the Dragon Sun Demon King and the two big goblin above the water. Yang Ying returned. Now that they were in the water world, there were even more snake fungus layers. Occasionally, there would be a few water demons patrolling the area with weaker water demons. These monsters were the Dragon Sun Demon King's subordinates. Sure enough, a demon pool made of rocks gradually appeared in their line of sight. It was also a demon pool made of spirit stones and various gems. It was roughly a group of palaces. There were about 30 of them, located in a vast underwater plain. Dragon Sun Demon Pool. The demon pool was surrounded by high walls. There was a stone castle in each of the 8 directions. Every stone castle released a strong demonic aura. Occasionally, some water demons would fly out. After asking Yao Shuo, they found out that there were hundreds of water demons in the Dragon Sun Demon Pool. Their strength ranged from the Yongying realm to the Catastrophe realm. Among them, there were dozens of big goblin at the Catastrophe realm. The strongest one was naturally the Dragon Sun Demon King. At the center of the palaces was a palace that looked like a huge snake. Naturally, it was the Dragon Sun Demon King's palace. Shu Shuo said, "Deep underground is the Earth's core. We'll start moving from the edge and enter the depths. Okay. After looking at it for a while, Leech Dynasty flew to the edge. After landing, Leech King's body shrunk again. He was about 3 meters tall. He slowly opened his mouth. Shu Shuo was no longer in human form, but in his original form. He was about 3 meters tall and covered in platinum fur. He was very dazzling in the dark water world. Leech King waited for a while. After Shu Shuo opened his mouth, he found sharp teeth that were 3 feet long. His hands and legs also had terrifying claws. This was Su Fang's first time seeing the sky drill rat's true body. It didn't look scary, but Shu Shuo's teeth and claws were harder than high-grade artifacts. This was an innate ability. Pa! Pa! Shu Shuo suddenly spun. It was too fast. The rocks near the bottom of the water immediately lit up. Most of the rocks were turned to dust. Two. They were a few miles away from the Dragon Sun Demon Pool. The water demons didn't have time to react. Shu Shuo had already dug out a hole that was several meters deep. Leech King immediately entered the hole. Leech King exclaimed, "Master, this Earth's core is not like the rocks on the ground. It's 100 times harder. It's inconceivable. It's about the same as a high-grade artifact." Su Fang immediately sensed it. It was indeed so. It seemed that the Earth's core was completely different from the Earth's surface. Dao Wuliang also said, "Boss, if Shu Shuo was on the ground, he wouldn't have to use so much effort to burrow through the ground. He could just burrow through the ground and pass through a huge mountain in an instant. But in the Earth's core, he can only take one step at a time." Su Fang smiled. "Naturally, it's so charming. If it wasn't so mysterious, then wouldn't the Zhua Tian realm be the Sky Drill Rat Emperor? This place would have become his territory long ago. Boss, you don't have to guard against the Sky Drill Rat Emperor. In fact, he has a good relationship with my Dao Mother. Soon, the two of them will join forces and ascend to the greater world. Dao Zhen's Fox Mother will ascend as well. Yes, in fact, they just passed a great tribulation not long ago. If it weren't for us disappointing juniors, they would have already left the lesser world. This time, they stole the Origin Embryo Spirit Elixir to leave behind cultivation resources for us. When the time comes, I'll also return to the southern border. I'll wait for Boss, and then we'll go back together. All right, I also want to go back and see if I can bring my family to the Crimson Firmament continent. Ascend. How far away? The southern border was mentioned again. He suddenly missed home. He missed his father and his clansmen. If he had the time, he would definitely return to Zhao. Chapter 426. The ability of the Skydrill Mouse is really amazing. At this moment, he had already created a hole that was more than 100 meters deep in the Earth's core rock layer. His speed became slower and slower. Su Fang fixed his gaze and immediately transmitted a message to Shu Shuai. Shu Shuai, on the other hand, was quite spirited. The rocks below are becoming more and more solid. It might take a few days before we reach the core world. It was a pity that Su Fang and Dao Wuliang could not help him. Su Fang's abilities were outstanding, and he also grasped the power of the earth element. However, when faced with burrowing through the ground, there was nothing he could do. He could only wait. While waiting, he was still absorbing the power of the Black Lotus True Body. There was still a bit left, and now his energy was close to the peak of Undying Realm Stage 9. As long as he attacked for a period of time, he could step into the imperishable 10th layer. It seemed that only a part of the Black Lotus True Body was left. If he really wanted to completely merge with it, he would have to wait until he stepped into the imperishable 10th layer. The Black Lotus True Body is a good thing. Even after fusing with it for so long, I still can't completely absorb it. This is the greatest contributor to my advancement to the Yang Infant Realm. Just like that, his strength grew stealthily and invisibly. Su Fang stepped into the peak of the imperishable realm step by step, and finally stepped into the Yang Infant Realm. With the assistance of Exalted Man Yuezhen, his mastery of the 7 great divine abilities of the Immortal Sealing School was almost at a normal level. Except for the Immortal Sealing Scripture and the Ruler's Divine Steps, all the other divine abilities could be released by Su Fang. He was also secretly cultivating the 5 poisons genuine qi. He had the 5 poisons genuine qi, the true devil demonic qi, and the demonic qi in his golden core origin. His golden origin core was still fusing with his dantian. Now, Su Fang had become an existence that the majority of cultivators couldn't stand shoulder to shoulder with. Be it Prince Shui, Sheng Changsheng, or Huang Lingyao, besides cultivation, there weren't many who could compare to Su Fang. 3 days later, the speed was getting slower and slower. Su Fang contacted Xu Shui again. Dao Wuliang wanted to do it himself, but unfortunately, he didn't have a diamond drill. Rat Marshall was indeed a sky drill rat. Although he was exhausted, he was still working hard. He used all of his abilities to devour a large number of spirit items. As the grandson of the Sky Drill Rat Emperor, he could get whatever he wanted. The two of them couldn't help, so they could only wait quietly. After another 2 days, a 500-meter deep hole was dug out. Gradually, the rock layer began to show signs of loosening. Su Fang understood from Yao Shuo and became excited. The loosening of the rock layer was caused by the Dragon Sun Demon Pool, built by the Dragon Sun King. This meant that they were close to the bottom of the Dragon Sun Demon Pool. His speed also increased by several times, and the cold qi began to decrease. Instead, there was a kind of invisible flame, qi, seeping out from the rock layer. Rumble with a shake, the temperature instantly changed. The Leech King couldn't stand the heat. I've already used some large rocks to seal up the cave to prevent the river water from flowing in. After Su Fang and Dao Wuliang left the Leech King's body, the Leech King was sucked into the dark yellow space. Xu Shui came down from above. He was surrounded by a natural cave that seemed to have once been a geocentric river. Around the cave, he saw a large number of stalactites. Because of the various colored stalactites, the cave was radiating with light, and a wave of hot air was penetrating through the rocks under their feet. Dao Wuliang rubbed his nose. The caves are all connected. I wonder where the origin embryo spirit elixir is. Xu Shui said. Grandpa said that the origin embryo spirit elixir should gather dazzling spiritual light near the core of the earth. Only the essence of the earth's core can form the origin embryo spirit elixir. Otherwise, this origin embryo spirit elixir wouldn't be a rare treasure that can be found everywhere. Then let's go directly to the core of the earth and search the surroundings. Who knows, we might find other treasures. The three of them looked at the cave in front of them and flew over. After entering the cave, the space was several times larger, and it continued to extend deeper. There were strangely shaped stalactites everywhere. After entering another cave, the space was even larger and deeper. Furthermore, they could see some traces of lava that had once permeated this place. Other than these traces, there were no traces of humans. This was truly a place with few people, just like the mysterious space of the 7-star Demon Island. However, as they followed the traces of lava to search for the origin embryo spirit elixir and other treasures, they entered a huge cave. They could even see burning qi from all directions. The three of them were so shocked that they forgot to search. In the center of this space, there was actually an altar. The altar was made of spirit stones, and there were some unique stalactites around it. Because of the special and abundant spirit qi, the three of them discovered the existence of the altar at the same time. After being confused for a while, the three of them still believed that it was an altar. They carefully approached the altar, asking themselves why there was an altar here. Furthermore, it should not be a demon cultivator, but a human. Only humans would use such a method to cultivate. If it was a demon expert, they would not spend so much effort to create an altar. Dao Wuliang slowed down and flew at the front. According to legends, demons naturally transformed into spirit beasts. Dao Wuliang didn't understand. He sighed and said, "To transform into spirit beasts, we demons have to go through countless years of cultivation to become spirit beasts. We have to go through a great tribulation before we can transform into spirit beasts. Furthermore, it is impossible to succeed. That's why no demon race chooses to become spirit beasts. These fire demons are really something. Dao Wuliang, if you and I directly devour these fire demons, our quintessent spirit qi will increase by a lot. It will be very helpful to our cultivation. This is quintessent spirit qi. They're coming in droves. Su Fang immediately reminded the two of them. Whoosh! Dozens of fire demons leaped into the air, as if they had never seen humans before. Although they were made of spirit qi, their eyes were filled with ferocity. Dao Wuliang shouted, and yellow demonic aura shot out of his hands. It transformed into a net. Capture these fire demons alive. We'll take them back and slowly cultivate them. Shu Shuai spat out golden demonic light. Wherever the light went, it was like a magical treasure that knocked away the fire demons. The fire demons didn't seem very strong. They were probably about as strong as undying. The three of them grew bolder, and their demonic aura and true qi covered the sky as they pounced on the fire demons. Screech! The fire demons hadn't expected the three of them to be so strong, and they screeched in fright. After a series of explosions of true qi, the power of imprisonment imprisoned the dozen or so fire monsters. As expected, they weren't strong. Su Fang sucked them into the profound yellow space. These fire demons were savage by nature, and they didn't have any kindness in them. They were given to the junior commanders to cultivate. Chapter 427. Kacha. The flame demons were forced back by the three of them. Perhaps because he was happy, Dao Wuliang caught a flame demon and spat out a yellow wind, sucking it into his mouth. The sound of him biting the flame demon came from within his body. Scarlet blood leaked out of the corner of his mouth. Dao Wuliang seemed to feel great about eating the flame demon alive. He reached out and sucked a flame demon hiding under a stalagmite into his stomach. Shu Shuai was on the other side, catching flame demons one by one. Unlike Dao Wuliang, he didn't directly devour them. Instead, he sucked them into his body and imprisoned them. As for the flame demons that Su Fang caught, he sucked them all into the Xian Huang space for the junior commander and Bai Ling to cultivate. Who would want such natural spirit beasts? Pow, pow, pow. The flame demons were forced to curl up together. Rumbling sounds came from the deep crevice below. It was as if some huge monster was crawling out of the ground. The three of them immediately scattered, retreating dozens of meters. At this moment, fiery claws that looked like tree roots rose from the flame demons. There were hundreds of them, and they were all 3 meters long. Then a huge flame demon in the shape of a spider forced its way out. The cave above its head had hundreds of tentacles on the ground, emitting scorching demonic qi. Shu Shuai's expression changed. What a 100-legged flame demon. Its strength is probably already in the tribulation realm. The flame demon spat out a fiery qi that was like steam. You dare to kill this king's descendants in the depths of the earth's core? So what if we killed them? Did you want to kill us? Dao Wuliang mocked back. He was still as fearless as ever. You came to this king's territory and dare to kill my descendants. This king will kill you. So you're a human, a fox demon, and a little rat. Haha. I hate rats and rats the most. Shu Shuai was furious. Rats are rats. Do you think you're human just because you're wearing human skin? What's so bad about being a demon? I really don't understand why little demons like you want to be humans. Su Fang transmitted to the two of them. Perhaps this flame demon knows the exact location of the origin embryo spirit elixir. If we work together to suppress it and capture it, we'll have a guide in this underground world. I'll go test its power. Whoosh! A gust of yellow wind. Dao Wuliang didn't even bother to discuss the matter with the other two. His body transformed into a yellow demonic wind, emitting demonic poison as he shot toward the 100-legged flame monster. The yellow demonic wind fused with the demonic poison and turned into an astonishing demonic qi that swept away most of the spiritual qi in the area. It was obvious how powerful Dao Wuliang's demonic poison was. I'll burn you to death, you little fox. Chapter 428. At this moment, the hundred-legged fire monster was like a volcano erupting. Large amounts of lava rained down from the sky. The scene was spectacular. Dao Wuyong and Shu Shuai's speed was astonishing. If not for their speed, they would have been incinerated by the lava. Su Fong was inside the lava, using fire cloud steps and ruler sky divine steps. When he saw the hundred-legged fire monster losing its mind, he immediately activated Rakshasa Jade Bottle. "Master, watch me." Rakshasa Jade Bottle shot out from Su Fong's palm. Su Fong then transmitted to Dao Wuyong and Shu Shuai. "I will use my artifact to suppress the hundred-legged fire monster. We will continue to entangle the fire monster so that it can't focus on the artifact. He kill it." Dao Wuyong and Shu Shuai had the same sinister smile. They couldn't wait for Su Fong to quickly suppress the hundred-legged fire monster. 5 poisons: True Qi, Blood Goo, Horned Scorpion, White Toad, Silver Snake, Spirit Spider. In an instant, Su Fong flew to the other side and was chased by the lava. The hundred-legged fire monster obviously hated Su Fong the most. It didn't put Dao Wuyong and Shu Shuai in its eyes. It seemed that no matter how powerful a demon was, it couldn't be compared to humans. The Rakshasa Jade Bottle was hidden in the flames and was only 1 foot tall. When it trembled, 5 poisonous monsters appeared around it. They were the same as the 5 Truths artifact: Blood Goo, Horned Scorpion, White Toad, Silver Snake, and Spirit Spider. Unlike the 5 Truths artifact, these 5 monsters were formed by poisonous gas. They were incorporeal and were divine abilities. The 5 Truths artifact was the real body of the poisonous monsters. Sizzle. The Rakshasa Jade Bottle was a peerless artifact. Although it couldn't be compared to the Xianhuang 6 Paths Pagoda, it was still a peak artifact in a small world. The 5 Truths poison monsters were like blood-sucking monsters. They pounced on the hundred-legged fire monster. When the fire monster appeared, the 5 poisons had already begun to corrode and attack the fire monster. They were true Qi and weren't afraid of high temperatures. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The hundred-legged fire monster finally noticed the 5 poisons. It hurriedly waved its tentacles and claws to attack. But when it hit the 5 poisons monster, it penetrated the poisonous gas and hit its own body. Only then did it realize how terrifying the 5 poisons monsters were. Furthermore, the poisonous gas had already corroded a large area. In order to quickly suppress the hundred-legged fire monster, Su Fong, Dao Wuyong, and Shu Shuai did not stand aside to watch the fun, even if Luocha Yu Changping could suppress the hundred-legged fire monster. The 3 of them attacked the fire monster again. Previously, the fire monster was already very sullen. It was very powerful, but it couldn't do anything to the 3 of them.